English, please. Oh, my leg. Oh, my leg, my leggy. I love you, relationship. Beep, 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 beep. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Today I got 1, 2, 3, 4 podcasts, 4 different websites, 4 into reaction, 4 whatever, 4 on the name of God. Want to see what's going on? We'll see what's going on. Here we go. Number 1, God, God, God. Intermix sector subscribe. Intermix sector subscribe.
Quantum AI Technology News Podcasts or Technology Podcasts, Google search. The Quantum AI series feature exclusive interviews of the global innovators shaping the future of quantum computing. Quantum Tech Pod, a new podcast dedicated to the business of quantum technology. Hosted by Chris Bishop, listen now to the latest episode. Inside Quantum Technology is the first company to be dedicated to meeting the strategic information and analysis needs of the emerging quantum technology. 22nd May 2024 podcasts are vital for staying updated on quantum computing, offering expert insights, latest trends, and accessible learning for all. The podcasts will talk with key individuals within the quantum community to gain their perspective of the status of the quantum industry. 16 episodes. The Quantum AI series feature exclusive interviews of the global innovators shaping the future of quantum computing. 15th October 2024, we're counting down 10 of the best AI podcasts you can listen to today, ranked on the quality of their episodes, guests, and popularity with. AI is already improving certain aspects of current quantum technology. Find out how businesses and verticals can start to use these techniques for real use. 3rd October 2024, Notebookalum is a tool for understanding, and the audio overviews are generated based on the sources that you upload. University of Chicago molecular engineer David Osterlom discusses how quantum technology could impact communications, encryption, and sensing technology.
This is the Quantum Tech Pod, brought to you by Inside Quantum Technology, covering industry analysis, data, and market forecasting for quantum technology markets worldwide. Now, here's your host, Jake.
After dealing with him the last couple years, Welcome to the Quantum Tech Pod, the show where we dive into the world of quantum technology and its limitless possibilities. I'm your new host, Jake Duhame, and today we have a very special, I believe this is his third time on the program. That would be Lawrence Gassman, who has been at the forefront of these quantum discussions for years. Lawrence is the founder of Inside Quantum Technology and a leading expert in the field. Honestly, after dealing with him the last couple years, I prefer to call him the dean of this field, in my opinion. Lawrence is based in Richmond, Virginia, and has been tracking quantum developments, offering insights and analysis that have guided industry leaders. And today we'll talk about the intersection of quantum technology and artificial intelligence, all leading up to the inaugural, I guess we could call it inaugural, Lawrence, because we've talked about different things in the past, but the upcoming Quantum Plus AI event in New York City on October 28th and 29th. That is rapidly upcoming. We also will touch upon what the future holds for this space. Lawrence, thank you for joining the program.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Lawrence, let's begin here with an event coming up at the end of October, the Inside Quantum Technologies Quantum Plus AI event in New York City. Now, the past few years, we've had this event emphasize cybersecurity, but with all of the buzz and the hype around AI right now, we've seen this pivot. So you're in charge. What was behind the pivot, and what should users or what should attendees expect here in a few weeks?
Well, actually, in the past, we did a general conference on quantum technology, and it included quantum cybersecurity, like you mentioned, but also quantum computing, quantum networking, quantum sensors. There'll be some of that too, actually quite a lot of it, but for the purposes of this event, as you say, it's more or less inaugural. We've had panels on this topic before, but this is the first event, I think, anywhere of its kind. And we'll be emphasizing the overlap between quantum computers and AI, both hot topics now, particularly AI. But it turns out that they kind of need each other. So the goal of this particular 2-day event is to show where they need each other and where the business opportunities are now and in the future in the hybridization of the two fields.
Let's say you're interested in attending the conference here. What can you expect as an attendee, and maybe topics or speakers who are going to be there that are worth highlighting?
Well, that's several questions in one. The basic idea that I had in putting this together was to cram as much into 2 days as possible, covering all the fields from quantum machine learning, which is, you can't say established, but it's a real discipline with real companies involved in it, all the way to quantum sensors and quantum robotics that make use of both AI and quantum computers. What they all have in common, apart from the obvious, AI plus quantum, is that it brings the power of quantum processing to AI and machine learning. So the best way to get an idea of what will be going on there is to go onto our website, and it will take you to various conferences that we're organizing, but we have a nice banner headline. We have speakers from, and I'm not going to list them all, but we have them from some very well-known companies. And if any one of our sponsors and speakers are listening, I apologize if I didn't mention them all, but companies like NVIDIA, which come obviously from the AI discipline, IBM, which is sort of in both, IonQ and Rigetti, which are new quantum companies that are taking a lot of interest in machine learning and AI. Some quasi-governmental organizations that are trying to promote the idea of quantum AI in their in their catchment areas, if you like. We have, for instance, Baden-Württemberg, obviously from Germany. But it's a very diverse group of people. We have SKT, which is the South Korean company that's one of their major telephone companies and has always been involved with quantum and now is kind of involved with both. I could take the whole of this podcast up talking about people, but that's the general idea. So.
For anyone interested, the website is www.iqtevent.com. The entire speaker list is there. The schedule is there. Registration details and information are there as well. Now, this event, as you'd imagine, based on what we've talked about so far, focuses on the synergies between quantum and artificial intelligence. Now, all we're hearing these days, and this is being taped the day after NVIDIA released their latest quarterly earnings. So all we're hearing is buzz about AI and bubbles. Could it be a bubble? Is it real? Is this a hype cycle? That it takes a significant amount of energy, and thus that has skepticism rising. From the catbird seat, Lawrence, do you believe AI in some degree is a bubble, or is it sustainable long term?
Well, it's certainly hyped, and I don't see that. I've been asked that. I've been through several of these new technologies and how they become developed at the business level, and I don't see hype as a necessarily bad thing. It encourages people to go into this business. The fact that entrepreneurs kind of overlook the tedious side and the less than profitable side is part of, life in the wonderful high-tech world. It will go up and down. One is different, and then actually, if we're talking about AI, there has already been several what's been called AI winters in the past. But they all sort of go back to the same thing, which is not living up to expectations because they can never get their processors fast enough. What quantum brings to the table is the potential for making those processors fast enough for the first time. I love telling the following story, so I will tell it again, which is, for those of you who know me personally, know I am not a young man. And back in the very late 60s, I actually thought about doing a PhD in AI, and yes, they had them then. Problem was there weren't any processors at all, so it was kind of a... And actually, IBM came out with some very interesting results, which last year, 2023, which proved that quantum processors.
OA text to video news tips Google search. I'll show you this incredibly simple trick and question that will... OA text to video news tips Google search. I'll show you this incredibly simple trick and question that will generate the most amazing and realistic AI images. This simple tip creates the most realistic AI images. Metrics Mule. You can do all of this using the for free from writing the script to generating the voiceover and even the video. Best text to video AI. How to use AI to create video. OA News Generator in Video AI. From article to news videos with AI. In Video AI's article to video generator changes how you create news videos for YouTube, social media, and other channels. Prompt any news and receive ready-made videos, complete with script, stock footage, and voiceovers in your native language. Affordable alternative to voice artists. InVideo's voiceover generator closely mimics a professional voice artist, infusing your videos with life by capturing the emotion in each word and adding human-like AI speech in various languages. You can even clone your voice to give your news videos a personal touch. Get instant news videos with minimal efforts. When making news videos, it's important to be the first to break the news. InVideo AI lets you create videos instantly with just a few clicks. Publish videos frequently with AI to keep your viewers engaged. How to create news with AI. After signing up for InVideo AI, select the news video workflow from the drop-down menu. Input your news in text form. Once you have provided all the necessary...
How the fuck, in the fuck, what the fuck, you, okay, fuck, what the fuck, what are you on about? Any question, reply, listen and reply, any question, listen and reply, intermix sector, subscribe.
Necessary information. You are ready to create your news video effortlessly. InVideo AI then sifts through over 16 million stock images and videos, selecting relevant content for your news video. It also produces a voiceover for the submitted prompt while adding background music and other elements like transitions that fit your prompt. How to convert news article into video. InVideo AI allows you to convert published articles into news videos by simply providing the URL of any news article. Which is the best AI news generator? InVideo AI is a first of its kind online AI news video generation tool. You can use it to create news videos for your YouTube channel and other platforms, simply by entering a topic or providing a URL. Parliament of Australia. Home Parliament of Australia.
Questions without notice. Are there any questions without notice?
Or he's not working hard as a local MP. He's pulling shifts as an emergency doctor at the Wyong Hospital, seeing every day the impacts of a decade of cuts and neglect to Medicare. And that's why...
Really? Really? So what have they done? What have they done?
Discussed the border, trade and illegal drugs. Mr. Trudeau made the unannounced visit to Florida to have dinner with Donald Trump at his Mar-a-Lago residence. The meeting comes after the incoming U.S. president vowed to impose a 25% tariff on all goods from Canada on his first day in office. Flood warnings have been issued for parts of Queensland, New South Wales and Tasmania as wet conditions continue to impact some regions today. Heavy rain in southern and southeastern Queensland has led to major flooding along the Logan River. Significant falls in north and northeastern New South Wales are also causing flooding issues in the Northern Rivers region. The Bureau of Meteorology's Angus Hines says Tasmania's north and east have also copped a drenching.
Up to 200 millimetres recorded in one weather station in Tasmania. There are a number of flood warnings in place across mostly northeastern Tasmania with a few key focus areas. So there is a flood watch and act warning in place around St Mary's Rivulet. Prepare to leave around that area.
Queensland emergency crews have rescued 5 people from floodwaters on the Gold Coast. The group became stranded at Mudgeeraba earlier this morning after heavy rain in the region. Staying in that state, and a man has died during a police operation in central Queensland. Officers were called to a property last night after reports of a trespasser. They found a 37-year-old man on a second-floor balcony and tried to negotiate with him. He fell and suffered fatal injuries. The Ethical Standards Command is investigating with oversight by the Crime and Corruption Commission. A motorist has had a frightening encounter with a tiger snake while travelling on the Monash Freeway in Melbourne. Victoria Police say the woman felt the snake slithering up her leg yesterday before she pulled over and leapt out of the car to safety. She was assessed by paramedics at the scene and handlers were called to remove the snake. And Australia's first box of cherries for the season is sold at a charity auction for a record-breaking $165,000. The annual Sydney Markets Foundation events raised more than $2 million since 1980. The money will go to Little Wings, which provides free air and ground transport for sick children across the ACT, New South Wales and Queensland. ABC News. Get more news at any time. Download the ABC Listen app. Before the sun rises, your local ABC team are starting their day getting ready to help you start yours. We're here to inform you as to what's happening with local news and events, national news, weather, and what the community is up to. ABC Breakfast, getting you grounded for the day. Catch you back here for breakfast, weekday mornings on ABC Radio, your smart speaker, and on the ABC Listen app.
WBBL on ABC Sport.
Lucy Hamilton, the 18-year-old left arm fast into the attack from the members' end here. Comes into Hayley Matthews, back of the length and driven. Just beating the fielder at mid-wicket and will pick up a single. We're just having a look for a run out here as to whether Dotton's bat got stuck as she was making her ground, and it might have got caught on the crease here, and Redmayne has thrown down the stumps and she's going to be out.
Parsons on her way in again, the leg spinner, well flighted. Wareham takes her downtown, long on his back, camped underneath it and takes the catch. Wareham goes for 21. Parsons gets the big wicket. Matthews on the precipice of a half century. She's 49, she's sweeping, and this is through the infield. It'll get out towards deep backward square. Rodrigues does the fielding. It's a single, and it's a half hundred in the WBBL final for Hayley Matthews, who takes the ball wide of off stump and plays it all the way along the ground, out through mid-wicket, calling her through for a couple as Illingworth runs to the non-striker's end and pulls her through. That's well run. Becker gets a double off the last ball, and the Renegades get to 141.
WBBL on ABC Sport.
Two for victory for the Brisbane Heat, who will come out in a few moments' time at the MCG. Let's check in with the Australian Open Golf to Zane Bojack.
Well, we're watching a supreme performance by G.A. Shin. She is a star Korean. She's won two majors, the Open Championships in 08 and 12, and she looks like she's going to win her second Australian Open. She currently leads by 5 clinchy as they play the 15th, the par 3, which is a difficult hole with this wind at the moment. We have got a bit of cloud cover. It is getting dark, but the rain hasn't started falling just yet. Hannah Green sits at -8, 11 shots off the lead after just birdieing the 14th. In the men's section, it is a shootout between Lucas Herbert and Riggs Johnston. They currently lead at 15 under, with Curtis Luck from WA 1 stroke off the lead, alongside a man who's in that last group, Jasper Stubbs. He's at 14 under as well.
Thank you very much to Zane Bojack. We'll bring you there for the closing stages at Kingston Heath. So no rain there, about 15 kilometres from the MCG. No rain here at the MCG for the moment as the Brisbane Heat...
Futuristic design, spacious and stylish interior room, and an impressive 407 litres of boot space to pack everything in. Visit your local Hyundai dealer to test drive Kona today. Available in petrol, hybrid, or electric.
This is 2SM Sydney.
The second person has died following a 2-vehicle crash in New South Wales's Upper Hunter yesterday. Emergency services were called to Denman Road in Muswellbrook at around 5:30 yesterday afternoon, where 2 vehicles had collided head-on. A woman believed to be aged in her 70s, who was behind the wheel of one of the vehicles, was pronounced dead at the scene. A passenger in the other vehicle, a man believed to be aged in his 20s, also died at the scene. 3 other people, a man and 2 women aged in their 20s, were treated at the scene by paramedics. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding the crash is ongoing. The New South Wales State Emergency Service has responded to more than 300 incidents in the past 24 hours. It comes as heavy rainfall has led to flash flooding across the state, with the SES conducting 9 flood rescues in that period. Residents have been urged not to drive through floodwaters, with the wet weather expected to continue into next week. A man has died after falling from a balcony during a police operation in central Queensland. Authorities were called to a property in Rockhampton at around 9 p.m. last night, following reports an unknown person was trespassing. A 37-year-old man was located standing on a balcony railing on the second floor of the building. Responding officers attempted to negotiate with the man before he fell, sustaining serious injuries. He later died in hospital. The Ethical Standards Command has launched an investigation. The New South Wales Government will allocate $235 million in funding to increasing access to support for those at risk of harm from alcohol and drugs. It comes as the first regional instalment of the Drug Summit is taking place today in Griffith. New South Wales Health Minister Ryan Park says it's about providing ongoing support to vulnerable people.
We certainly hope the summit, which is a once in a 25-year opportunity for people to have a detailed say and have input into our policies going forward. We certainly hope that it canvasses many of these issues and discusses many of these challenges that we see in the space.
Greens Senator Sarah Hanson-Young says the party remains committed to working towards a deal with the federal government regarding environment reforms and a ban on gambling advertising. It comes as a deal between the Progressive Party and Federal Environment Minister Tanya Plibersek fell through after being opposed by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese last minute. Senator Hanson-Young says we cannot keep having nature bulldozed off the national agenda. Mr Albanese says he still intends to pass nature-positive legislation. MS Australia has launched a major EBV research platform to combat MS. More than 30 clinicians will form the National EBV in MS Working Group, hoping to identify the link between EBV and MS and possible future treatment methods. Dr. Julia Morahan, Head of Research for MS Australia, says EBV research may provide crucial answers.
EBV is a risk factor, but also may have a role in ongoing disease, and we're very interested to see whether changing the EBV response to in people living with MS might in fact give us some new treatment options.
Georgia's president says she will stay in the post until new parliamentary elections are held as protests continue over the government's decision to put EU accession negotiations on hold. The BBC's Steve Rosenberg reports.
As night fell in Tbilisi, they were building barricades, using anything they could find. People here are angry that the ruling party has suspended Georgia's bid to join the European Union. They believe that Russia is pulling the strings. Suddenly, fireworks aimed right at the Parliament building. We could see a room inside ablaze.
Most of the protesters I've spoken to here say they won't give up. They will keep coming out onto the streets until they can secure Georgia's future in Europe. The authorities are clearly under pressure, but so far there is no sign of any U-turn by the government.
And in sport, much-loved rugby league personality Paul Vaughton has announced his retirement from broadcasting after 33 years. In finance, oil is worth $68 a barrel, gold trading at $2,643 an ounce. One Aussie dollar is buying 65.09 US cents. This is Super Network News.
2SM Sydney weather.
Partly cloudy with showers and the chance of a thunderstorm, possibly severe. Sunny tomorrow with temperatures ranging from 19 to 29 degrees in the city, 17 to 35 in the west. Looking ahead, partly cloudy for Tuesday and Wednesday, cloudy on Thursday. At the moment in the city it's 24 degrees, 22 in Bankstown, 27 in Penrith, 30 in Richmond. That's the latest 2SM News. I'm Isaac Brogan.
Join
SBS Audio is supported by advertising.
The moustache is calling. For years, people around the world have been united by the power of the moustache. This November, unite to take on mental health, suicide, prostate and testicular cancers. Come together, grow together, raise funds, save lives. Change the face of men's health. Donate at Movember.com.
You're listening to SBS On The Money with Ricardo Gonçalves.
Hi everyone, it's your daily 10-minute business and finance news wrap for this Monday, the 25th of November 2024. The Australian share market rose today, closing 0.3% stronger. We'll have the details with Luke McMillan from Fear Asset Management in a few moments' time. But first, to your retirement, where AMP says in a survey of 2,000 Australians, of those over the age 65, 80% don't feel prepared for the transition to aged care, while 7 in 10 worry about the cost of care. 75% expect aged care to diminish their wealth and children's inheritance, while half don't know what government assistance is available. So what can be done to feel more financially secure as we move into aged care? For that and more, I spoke with AMP's Director of Retirement, Ben Hillier. Ben, can you run us through firstly some of the government's key proposed reforms?
There's a number of reforms that are starting as part of the proposed legislation kicking on from in July next year. Probably the three I'd mention are simplifying the assessment of eligibility for aged care. Currently we've got 3 different systems. That's going to be simplified into one package. Number 2, some changes to the definitions and support available as part of home care. And then number 3, changing to the funding of aged care. We know that unfortunately in this country we've got more and more Australians retiring, more and more going to be needing aged care, and we have an unaffordable model at the moment. And so the government's looking for greater contributions for individuals who can afford to pay, but there's still protections in place such as lifetime caps.
Okay, so when we're talking about aged care, what's your research showing about the extent where Aussies are actually ready to move into aged care?
Oh, look, it's Australians are worried. 4 in 5 don't feel prepared for the transition to aged care. That 7 in 10 are worrying about the cost of aged care, and similar numbers are really concerned about the impact that's going to have on the finances available as they pass on wealth to their children. We know that from our previous research that AMP has done, that the majority of retired Australians really want to help their children. They're actually seeing that their kids are under a fair bit of financial stress, especially things like access to the housing market. And so they're just seeing aged care as just one more thing that's going to cause uncertainty and complexity for themselves, but also less wealth for their children.
All right, so let's provide some tips and some advice out there. I think your research suggests that half don't know what government assistance is available for them for aged care. So what kind of assistance is there?
Look, there's a short answer and there's a complicated answer. The short answer is, look, there is help available and you need not worry too much. People who can't afford to pay won't be required to pay exorbitant amounts. Sometimes people hear about things like, oh, I've got to pay $500,000 or $1 million. Look, if you can't afford to pay that, that's okay. Assistance is available. So that's the simple answer. The more complicated answer is, look, there's a whole bunch of different rules, and the government is trying to simplify them. But there's various levels of means testing available. And then if you're eligible for the age pension, generally you're going to be eligible for some aged care assistance. There's a wonderful website, the My Aged Care website put out by the government. Jump along to that website, speak to a financial advisor. In some cases, speak to your superannuation fund, or there's other, obviously, service providers that provide aged care that have lots of information available on their websites. But get educated, but don't worry too much.
What else can they do, and what are the roles of organisations like AMP, for example?
Look, one thing that is underappreciated is that if you access something like a lifetime income stream, you get 3 benefits. Number 1, you get an income for life. Number 2, it increases your eligibility for the age pension, which is wonderful. But number 3, it actually increases your eligibility for aged care assistance, because what it does is let's say, hide some of the assets from the assets and income test that the government use to determine our eligibility for these sorts of assistance. And so things like that are really, really important. We're starting to see organisations like AMP launch these new solutions, and it's part of a new wave of offerings that has been encouraged by the government to help Australians have more comfort and confidence as they retire.
That is Ben Hillier there from AMP.
Now, Market Day on the SBS On The Money podcast.
Okay, for those who are on lower majority, those who are struggling to marry, can marry, and support their kids in a younger age, like 27, 26, and they are getting married, trying to combat to buy a house and all this stuff. Lower majority of these people normally have to live at home with their parents, but the parents might not want them at home, and we try to debate these things. Why don't the parents want them at home? Don't they want to look after their kids to have somewhere to live, or supply them a granny flat behind their house, something they can pay off, or whatever, a granny flat, a one-bedroom apartment at the back of the house? Would that cost more extra? After the parents have finished paying their house, wouldn't they look after their kids? How do we find and lower majority who are getting married, African American, coming to Australia to marry other women? How do we know what the understanding of drug addicts, homeless, and everything like that is going on?
And 17, it was stronger earlier in the session, but a record reached nonetheless by
On the SBS On The Money podcast.
The Australian share market hit a record today, closing up 0.3% at 8,417. It was stronger earlier in the session, but a record reached nonetheless by the end of the day. For more, I spoke with Luke McMillan, the head of research at Ophir Asset Management. Luke, the ASX hitting a record today. Given all the economic headwinds, though, you've got the US election outcome, threats of tariffs leading to potentially higher inflation and higher for longer interest rates, a slow Chinese economy, geopolitical tensions. Given all that list, does it surprise you that the market's doing so well?
Well, you're making me want to sell out there, Ricardo, with that long list. But it doesn't really surprise me. What you normally see post an election is generally a relief rally that the uncertainty of the election is behind you. We are also at one of, if probably not the strongest, seasonally strong parts of the year, being November and December, running into year end. And so
we have to be very proud. Oop, 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 oop. Very strong, very strong, very strong. Oop, 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 oop. Have to be very proud, outstanding. We have to, every time you stop it, look, the thing goes back. We have to go for we have to be very proud, very strong, very creative. We have to be powerful. We have to be live a lifestyle and still go out for Saturdays and Friday restaurants and dance and boogie and get down with it. We can't all be unhappy. We cannot be unpleasant. It's ridiculous now. The food, poker machines, gambling, sport, food, water, electricity, rent, everything's high now. It's very high. I'm very sad. I'm crying.
SBS Audio.
To one package.
What's your research showing about the extent where Aussies are actually ready to move into aged care?
Oh, look, actually, the my age care, something like a lifetime.
For more, I spoke with Luke.
you normally see post an election is generally a relief rally, more of headwinds. Right?
Given all that.
And so things like that are really, really important. We're starting to see organisations like AMP launch these new solutions, and it's part of a new wave of offerings that has been encouraged by the government to help Australians have more comfort and confidence as they retire.
That is Ben Hillier there from AMP.
Now, Market Day on the SBS On The Money podcast.
The Australian share market hit a record today, closing up 0.3% at 8,417. It was stronger earlier in the session, but a record reached nonetheless by the end of the day. For more, I spoke with Luke McMillan, the head of research at Ophir Asset Management. Luke, the ASX hitting a record today. Given all the economic headwinds, though, you've got the US election outcome, threats of tariffs leading to potentially higher inflation and higher for longer interest rates, a slow Chinese economy, geopolitical tensions. Given all that list, does it surprise you that the market's doing so well?
Well, you're making me want to sell out there, Ricardo, with that long list, but it doesn't really surprise me. What you normally see post an election is generally a relief rally that the uncertainty of the election is behind you. We are also at one of, if probably not the strongest seasonally strong parts of the year, being November and December, running into year end. And so with a few of those uncertainties out of the way, yes, there's a worry list there. There's always a worry list. But I think with some of the election uncertainty out of the way, it still looks like it's onwards and upwards through into year end.
So is this Trump trade that we've been speaking a lot over the past few weeks still alive and well? And in addition, what about the traditional Santa rally?
Yeah, that's right. You know, we put the Christmas tree up in our household on the weekend, and we're on the way there at the moment. And we still have that traditional sort of Trump trade is still there. You know, largely, financials outperforming. We've had consumer discretionary as a sector outperforming in the US and also in Australia, as people are expecting, a stronger economy in the US with, tax cuts coming through, or certainly promised. There are some countervailing forces to that potentially, with tariffs, etc. But most are looking on the bright side that Trump is using the share market as a litmus test, and he'll want to make sure it keeps going up.
And part of this Trump trade, I mean, Bitcoin's threatening to reach 100,000 US. I mean, what do you make of it?
Yeah, we all wish we'd had more of it, right? And I think it's just part of it. It's probably, as everyone was looking at the betting markets for how Trump was likely to go leading into the election, one of the greatest tests, if you like, of the people's belief in him getting in, and then, him providing a better world.
Oh, this time didn't go back. Okay, cool. Didn't go back. With the Trump, I hear that Trump has to do something about Ukraine, because Ukraine cannot join the NATO, or cannot have NATO, or NATO. The guns, the drugs, the homeless, the craziness. They're trying to kill Donald Trump. I don't know how. It's in my news. Very risky business going to happen in a few more weeks from now. Elections that they won. Trump is a very powerful man, business coordinated. And if you don't do the job properly, people will be very, very pissed off with Trump because of war in Russia. How to stop that. And the war in Israel, how to stop that. And it's very controversial on Syria, where Russia is there. That Russia could be allied with Iraq or Iran or anyone like that, and help them out and whatever, and they go to war or whatever. Israel could be bombed really heavily. It's really stupid. I think the world is corrupt somehow. So pretending that Trump won, we do not understand what the army, what the military intervene for the Chinese, who are saying they are taking Darwin, the port of Darwin, which is already done, taking it for 10 years at least, and they are moving cargo containers and everything or whatever. And we got refugee problems in Papua New Guinea, port of Ireland, there where Papua New Guinea is, and we're also in protest at the moment with Palestinian, and the things with guns, and religion. It's not. We are up in arms with freedom and justice for our own people that die. Oops, very strong to die. Oop, They die in custody. You're not going to have Aborigine, going to have nothing? What are you talking about? You fucking liars. It was genocide. One nation, one combination, exploitation. You said you want to put up the milk or the coffees. You said you want to take away our biscuits, but you did. Instead of 12 biscuits in the packet, now there's 9 biscuits. You did all fucking wrong. You put everything up, and we still love it. We some of us are moving out of Australia, living in other countries. They're buying beautiful houses overseas in Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines. We're doing it all, right? We're crazy. This is enough now. Stop all this. What I'm saying is, God, behave. My fucking right. We're protesting. Go and check it out on YouTube. Protesting all the time.
The people's belief in him getting in, and then him providing a better world for Americans was what's happening with the Bitcoin price. And so I think probably that's part of it. At least into year end, doesn't seem to be a lot of headwinds for it at the moment.
The Australian share market, though, seems to be underperforming its global peers, especially with the US, which is doing extremely well. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's been a good year, certainly. And in fact, it's been slightly better than average for the Aussie share market. I think up around 15-16% year to date. It's not up the same amount as the US share market, though, which is more like 26-27%. But it's been justified outperformance in the US. It's been a big part of that. Just over half of that has been driven by earnings growth in the US. Yes, there's been some valuation expansion, but earnings growth in the US has been positive, whereas in Australia, it's been more sort of flatlined, to be honest, so far this year.
Okay, so what will it take then for the market to kind of slow down and turn around? Because we're seeing stocks like, for example, the Commonwealth Bank continuously hitting record highs, all this talk about it being potentially overvalued. Do you see a tipping point happening?
I think if we look at the various risks that are on the horizon there, one of the key ones is what's happening with longer term interest rates, or the 10-year bond yield as an example in the US. And we're at around about 4.4% at the moment. Really in the last couple of years, anytime it's moved above 4.5%, we've started to see the share market go, well, hold on a sec, I'm not sure that valuations that are currently in place in the US share market are justified if we've got interest rates that high. And so I think that's one thing to really just keep a close eye on. Are we going to see longer term interest rates move higher as worries about tariffs increase? And is that going to make market participants start to question the valuations for the US share market?
Okay, when you're looking at the market today, what's driving it, and is there any particular company news that you're looking at?
Yeah, sure. It's actually been a little bit of a reversal of the Trump trade today. We've seen a little bit of those yield sectors and defensive sectors outperforming. So the REITs have been performing really well. So like your Mirvacs and your Centre Groups as an example. And also the healthcare sector, which had been a bit of a laggard, and, particularly in the US with RFK Jr. And his appointment had been a little bit of a laggard. A bit of a pick back up in that sector so far today. In terms of stock news, really probably the big news to hit the wires is the takeover offer for SG Fleet from Pacific Equity Partners. That share price is up about 20% today. The takeover offer was at about a 30% premium. And so the share price isn't fully reflecting that value of that offer. So there's some question marks of whether it'll go through. Interestingly, we haven't seen its other peers have their share prices go up today, like your Macmillan Shakespeare, as an example, hasn't actually gone up at the same time. And then we've seen an IPO today in the market. It's under the old ticker code CCL, which was the old Coca-Cola Amatil. So it's Cuzcal IPO. It's actually down a few percent today. So those of you that were in the Guzman IPO and saw it up 35% on its first day of trading, not the same for Cuzcal's IPO today.
Finally, I want to get your take on where you see the opportunities for investors at the moment. In particular, I also want to ask whether or not the changing economics of the world, right? With Trump now going to be the president of the US, the potential for interest rates to stay longer. We're seeing market economists pushing back their expectations for when the first rate cut will happen in Australia now. That's what the market's been saying for quite some months now. Where are the opportunities, and has it changed the way you invest?
Yeah, I think it does give you some pause to maybe, if I flip the question to go, what's the parts of the market that you should probably avoid if we're going to be in a higher for longer interest rate environment? And so in that environment, I think I'd be avoiding those companies that are particularly highly geared because they're going to be in more trouble as rates stay higher for longer. Those companies that are less profitable or have negative earnings usually going to find themselves in the crosshairs as well. But on the other side, in terms of positives, particularly if we look domestically, if you've got higher for longer interest rates, generally that's good for your insurers here in the domestic market. For us, we would probably stick with what's been working a little bit, which tends to be those higher quality companies, higher return on capital, higher return on equity companies that have been doing well more recently. And I think that'll keep you in good stead as we head into 2025.
That's Luke McMillan there from Affair Asset Management. This is
How do you know there is consent? Is a kiss consent to more? It's important to know how sexual consent applies in Australia for the benefit of the next generation. To hear more, listen to the special edition of SBS Australia Explained via the SBS audio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
In this bulletin, wet weather is expected to continue over eastern parts of Australia. Ireland's main opposition party, Sinn Féin, tops the exit polls. And in soccer, Sheffield United moved to the top of the championship table after their win over Sunderland. With the latest from the SBS Newsroom, I'm Sophie Bennett. The eastern parts of Australia will continue to face heavy rainfall today as humid tropical air brings rain, cloud and embedded thunderstorms. Bureau of Meteorology's Angus Hines says there are severe thunderstorm warnings in place for Townsville and the central coast of Queensland, following 200 millimetres of rain in southern Townsville in the past 24 hours. Further south, there are large severe thunderstorm warnings across the central and northern tablelands of New South Wales, crossing the border into the far south of Queensland, which could lead to flash flooding. Mr. Hines tells Channel 9 there are also warnings in place for heavy rain across northern and eastern Tasmania.
It would be great to kick off summer with bright sunny weather, but that's not really on the cards for tomorrow. It's another day of reasonably wet conditions across at least the eastern half of the country. Don't get me wrong, there'll be plenty of sun for central and western areas, although perhaps through the afternoon we'll see that cloud band break apart a little bit and maybe we'll get some glimpses of sunshine.
As Ireland heads to the polls, an exit poll shows the main opposition party, Sinn Féin, looks on course to narrowly win the most votes at the general election. But its two main centre-right rivals will likely have enough seats to govern again without it. The exit poll put the left-wing Sinn Féin on 21.1%, the centre-right Fine Gael of Prime Minister Simon Harris on 21%, and like-minded coalition partner Fianna Fáil on 19.5%. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil pledged ahead of the election to seek to form a coalition without Sinn Féin, just as they did after the 2020 general election when Sinn Féin also narrowly won the popular vote. Nurse Ashley Murphy says cost of living is front of mind as she cast her ballot.
Well, I just think it's been the two main parties going back and forth for a long time. And obviously there's a lot of issues with homelessness, cost of living, other problems in the country. So by maybe bringing in more left-wing parties or different parties that haven't been involved might change the dynamic a little bit.
The federal government says it's directly engaging with faith and ethnic leaders to address the high levels of domestic and family violence migrant and refugee women are confronting. The government has introduced domestic violence leave and increased support services. And Minister Katie Gallagher says mentoring faith leaders is a key part of ensuring migrant and refugee women access support within their community. But the federal minister is defending the decision to put aside policy on the future of gambling advertising, despite research highlighting links between harmful gambling and violence in the home. Minister Katie Gallagher told SBS the issue centres around gender inequity and insists her government has taken measures to reduce gambling harms.
Of course, there are things that exacerbate gender-based violence. There's circumstances. We're looking across those systemic issues along with equality for women. They all have a role to play in combating gender-based violence.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers says the government will consult with the opposition on who will govern the Reserve Bank of Australia, as Labor announced a raft of reforms related to the RBA. On the last sitting day of Parliament, the government managed to pass reforms that would allow them to split the RBA board into two: a governance board in charge of running the bank and a specialist monetary policy board dedicated to setting interest rates. The new structure commences after the RBA's two-day board meeting on interest rates starting on February 17th, before the next federal election, which is expected to be called in the next 6 months. Treasurer Jim Chalmers says the government will thoroughly consider who is appointed to the new board.
We will consult with the opposition in good faith, as we're obligated to do, to make sure that the people that we appoint to the new governance board and the new monetary policy board are first class and first rate. That has been our intention all along. The timing of the passage of the Reserve Bank reforms was not in our hands. If it were up to us, we would have passed it a long time ago.
And in soccer, Sheffield United have edged a 1-0 win over promotion rival Sunderland to move to the top of the championship table following a late goal from substitute Tom Davies. Both teams had a player sent off in the closing stages of the first half, with Sunderland's Chris Metham followed by United and Socceroos defender Harry Suter. With just under 15 minutes remaining, both teams made a double substitution. After City Peck put an effort over, he was involved in the only goal of the game in the 83rd minute, with the ball falling to Davies on the right-hand side of the area and the midfielder's low shot beating Patterson's despairing dive. I'm Sophie Bennett. This is SBS News.
How do you know they're...
Okay, I'm going to change it. I'm going to talk, it's going to be in Serbia. My friend is Serbian, so we're going to do Serbian and then Croatian or Spanish or something after.
SBS is Australia's most trusted multilingual broadcaster. Our listeners are loyal, highly engaged, and have supported countless local businesses. We offer advertising packages for businesses of all sizes. Our experienced sales team will guide you through the process of owning a great campaign. Bring your
World of difference. You're with SBS Serbian on mobile, online, and on radio.
Vi ste uz SBS na srpskom, na mobilnom, na internetu I na radiju.
SBS odaje priznanje tradicionalnim vlasnicima zemlje sa koje danas emitujemo program na srpskom. Ovim izražavamo poštovanje prema narodu Kemriga, ali njegovim prošlim I sadašnjim starešinama. Također odajemo priznanje tradicionalnim vlasnicima zemlje I svih aboriđinskih naroda I naroda ostrva Toresovog Moreuza, na čijoj zemlji slušate naš program. Dobar dan. Danas je četvrtak, 28. novembar 2024. Ja sam Branko Cvetojević. U današnjem programu na srpskom donosimo Sve dešavalo u australijskom senatu tokom nezapamćeno žučne rasprave u sredu. U centru pažnje bile su senatorke Pauline Hanson i Fatima Payman, koje nisu štedele ni uvrede ni optužbe na račun druge strane. U serijalu SBS ispituje tragali smo za odgovorom na pitanje zbog čega hiljade kvalifikovanih migranata u Australiji ne može da se zaposli u struci, iako u trećini industrija postoji nedostatak radne snage. Od tema iz Srbije izdvojili smo promovisanje srpskog kulturnog blaga u 2 evropske prestonice. U Parizu je otvorena izložba o srpskim manastirima pod zaštitom UNESCO, dok je u Kopenhagenu predstavljena digitalna verzija najstarijeg srpskog pisanog dokumenta Miroslavljevog jevanđelja. U segmentu posvećenom nauci saznajte kakve posljedice je ostavio tornado za koji se nije ni znalo da se desio, sve dok u prostranstvima Nalarbora nije uočen ožiljak na tlu, dugačak 11 km. Ostanite uz nas narednih sat vremena. Sledi pregled vesti. Savezna vlada pokušava da danas u Senatu progura skoro 40 novih zakona. Generalni sekretar UN-a pozdravio prekid vatre između Izraela i Hezbolaha i pozvao obe strane da se pridržavaju dogovora. Bivši srpski ministar Goran Vesić pušten iz pritvora zbog nedostatka osnovanih sumnji da je počinio krivično delo. Savezna vlada pokušava da danas, posljednjeg dana ovogodišnjeg zasedanja, kroz Senat provuče skoro 40 novih zakona. Namera je da se sve debate maksimalno skrate i da predlozi zakona idu direktno na glasanje. Da bi uspelo u tome, vladi je potrebna podrška drugih stranaka jer nema većinu u
Oh, se fue para atrás. Chucha, fuck. Oh, wow. I don't know. Anyway, it's Serbian. I've been told that Serbia is connected with Kosovo. Kosovo is under control by NATO on the border. So there you go. So Kosovo. So NATO might be like Kosovo or something. I don't know. Anyway, Serbia is a nice country. It's a place where you can meet others and communicate and salute. Very good people.
transparentne izbore i ovaj zakon, kaže Taylor, dodajući da je koalicija bila sve vreme konstruktivna u saradnji s vladom. Trudili smo se da blisko sarađujemo da bismo dobili rezultat i to ćemo nastaviti da činimo, rekao je. Deci mlađoj od 16 godina bit će zabranjen pristup društvenim mrežama prema novom zakonu koji danas treba da bude usvojen u Senatu uz podršku obe vodeće političke stranke. Platforme kao što su Facebook, X, Instagram i TikTok bit će zabranjene za mlađe korisnike, što bi Australiju učinilo prvom zemljom u svetu koja je uvela takvu zabranu. Kritičari tvrde da je predlog prošao bez dovoljnog razmatranja i javne debate. Međutim, ministarka komunikacija Michelle Rowland rekla je u parlamentu da ovaj potez vlade ima za cilj zaštitu dece. Rowland kaže da Albanezova vlada ozbiljno shvata posvećenost bezbednosti svih Australijanaca na mreži. Znamo da su roditelji zabrinuti zbog štete po decu i doneli smo odluku da ih podržimo. Ministarka se zatim zahvalila poslanicima iz svih stranaka koji su podržali predlog ovog, kako je kazala, zakona od vitalnog značaja. Senatorka Lydia Thorpe rekla je da bi ponovo pocepala predlog liderke jedne nacije Pauline Hanson, zbog čega je u sredu suspendovana iz Senata. Hanson je pokušala da dovede u pitanje da li nezavisna senatorka Fatima Payman ima pravo da sedi u parlamentu zbog njenog navodnog afganistanskog državljanstva. Senatorka Thorpe je suspendovana do kraja zasedanja i to uz podršku obe najjače stranke. Ona je izjavila da su postupci senatorke Hanson bili neprihvatljivi. Dovođenje u pitanje legitimiteta senatorke Payman je čin rasizma, a ja nisam od onih koji će sedeti, ćutati i dozvoliti da se to desi, rekla je Lydia Thorpe. Opširnije o ovoj temi govorit ćemo odmah posle pregleda vesti. A policajac koji je u staračkom domu tejzerom ubio ženu s demencijom suspendovan je bez prava na platu nakon što ga je sud proglasio krivim za ubistvo iz nehata. Viši policajac Christian James Samuel White usmrtio je 95-godišnju Claire Noland u domu Yalambi Lodge u maju prošle godine jer nije želela da spusti nož koji je u tom trenutku držala u ruci. Sudija Jan Harrison će saslušati molbu tužioca za pritvaranje Whitea i pre izricanja presude. Policija Novog Južnog Velsa potvrdila je Whiteovu suspenziju i istakla da se preduzimaju koraci za njegovo uklanjanje iz službe. Za ubistvo iz nehata može biti izrečena kazna i do 25 godina zatvora. Slušate SBS na srpskom, pregled vesti. Prelazimo na aktuelnosti iz sveta. Generalni sekretar Ujedinjenih nacija Antonio Guterres pozdravio je prekid vatre kao najavu okončanja borbi između Izraela i Hezbolaha. On je obe strane pozvao da poštuju svoje obaveze. Guterres je izrazio nadu da će sporazum okončati nasilje i patnje koje trpe ljudi u Izraelu i Libanu. Prekid vatre se međutim ne odnosi na rat u Gazi, gde Hamas i dalje drži taoce i gde je ubijeno više od 43.000 Palestinaca. Pakistanska politička partija Tehreek Insaf najavila je privremenu suspenziju protesta koji je do sada rezultirao
mucho gusto, caliente, viva Serbia, viva, ala, eoa, eoa, tarantan, 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 Serbia, Serbia, eo, eoa, eo, eoa, Serbia, Serbia, eo, eoa, ta 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 pi 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 Okay, that was Serbia. This is Croatia. Taran 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 tan tan tererere tara tara ta tara ch 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 tara tara ch 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 pi 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 pi.
Vi ste uz SBS Creation. Za još odličnih priča, sbs.au/creation.
Dinamo očekivano izgubio u Ligi prvaka od njemačke Borussia Dortmund. U četvrtzavršnicu Hrvatskog nogometnog kupa plasirala se i momčad Lokomotive. Vaterpolisti dubrovačkog Jug Adriatic osiguranja osvojili su hrvatski kup. Za SBS radio javlja Željko Kovačević. Sastav koji je prošle godine igrao finale najjače klubske lige na svijetu, Europske lige prvaka Borussia Dortmund, s lakoćom je savladao domaći sastav Dinama koji je igrao još bez 5 standardnih igrača. Momčad Dinama nije uputila ni jedan udarac prema vratima Nijemaca. Vrijednost više od 108 milijuna australskih dolara Dinamove momčadi gosti u žutim dresovima nadmašuju čak 7 puta, tako da 0-3 nije loš rezultat. Golove za gosti zabili su Jamie Gittens u 41. minuti, Rami Bensebaini u 57. te Serhu Grasi u 90. minuti. Izrazito defanzivna formacija Dinama izdržala je do 42. minute, potom su Zagrebčani primili još 2 gola, a Dinamo napadački praktički nije ni postojao. Modri su u utakmicu ušli bez Ivana Nevistića, Brune Petkovića, Petra Sučića, Josipa Mišića i Arijana Ademija. A trener Nenad Bjelica je u početni sastav postavio 18-godišnjeg veznjaka Branka Pavića, koji je ove sezone nastupio tek 3 puta. Na klupi su ostali Sandro Kulenović i Marko Pjaca koji su ušli u drugom poluvremenu. Najbolji u sastavu Dinamo očekivano u takvoj utakmici bio je vratar modri Daniel Zagorac, no nije mogao zaustaviti sve udarce prema vratima domaće momčadi. Nenad Bjelica, trener Dinama, nakon utakmice za HTV izjavio:
Naravno da smo bili limitirani u puno stvari, igrali protiv jednog sjajnog protivnika koji bi dio finalist Lige prvaka. Osim toga, ja mislim da oni su ove sezone čak bolji nego prošle godine. Došli su prilično kompletni, samo bez Adeyemija, za razliku od nas s kojim nam je falilo 5 stožernih igrača koji su protiv Monaka tu odigrali sjajnu utakmicu. Ali ovi dečki koji su istrčali su odigrali hrabro, borbeno. Čestito sam dečkima, dao im ruku i od sutra kreće priprema za Hajduk.
Nogometaši Lokomotive plasirali su u četvrtfinale Hrvatskog kupa zahvaljujući minimalno 1-0 gostujućoj pobjedi protiv Dugopolja u susretu osmine finala. Jedini gol na utakmici postigao je Duje Čop iz kaznenog udarca u drugoj minuti sudačke nadoknade. Prethodno je Barada nepotrebno u svom kaznenom prostoru startao na Vrbančića. Ranije su prolazak u četvrtfinale izborili Osijek, Rijeka, Hajduk, Istra, Gorica i Slaven Belupo, dok je susret Bjelovara i Dinama odgođen. Vaterpolisti dubrovačkog Jug Adriatic osiguranja osvojili su Hrvatski kup pobjediši u finalu Splitski Jadran 14-12. Četvrtu godinu uzastopno u pokalu pobjednika Hrvatskog kupa odlučivali su Splitski Jadran i dubrovački Jug. Jug i Jadran pobjedio u Super kupu, pa im je ovo već drugi trofej u sezoni. Nakon 8 dana priprema i 2 susreta na Croatia kupu sa Sjevernom Makedonijom i Srbijom, izbornik Ivica Olbrvan odabrao je hrvatske rukometašice koje će igrati na Europskom prvenstvu koje zajednički organiziraju Mađarska, Austrija i Švicarska. U srijedu ujutro put Švicarske krenulo je 18 igračica, 16 će ih biti u zapisniku, a 2 će svoju priliku čekati na tribinama. Hrvatskoj će nastup u Švicarskoj biti 13. Europsko prvenstvo, prvu utakmicu igraju u petak s Danskom, potom u nedjelju s Farskim otocima, a utorak sa Švicarkama. Prve 2 selekcije svake skupine idu dalje. Hrvatske rukometašice propustile su samo 3 europska natjecanja, a najveći uspjeh im je brončana medalja osvojena prije 4 godine u Danskoj. Na posljednjem europskom prvenstvu u Sloveniji bile su 10. Evo što je Dankinjama rekao izbornik Ivica Olbrvan.
Smo mi već kroz ovaj tjedan pripremu i analizu sva 3 protivnika. Naravno, pošto je Danska prva, da je ona u ovom trenutku uzela najviše fokusa. To bit će jako teška utakmica, zahtjevna u fizičkom smislu. Želja nam je da na otvaranje europskog prvenstva pružimo dopadljivu dobru igru, da pariramo.
Rekao je izbornik Olbrvan.
Želite čuti još ovakvih tema? Slušajte nas na Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify ili gdje god vi nalazite podcaste.
All right. Okay, we changed it to Thailand. Thai. Look at this. SBS has got different language.
ฟัง SBS ไทยฟังเรื่องราวที่น่าสนใจอื่นๆได้อีกที่ sbs.com.au/thai
โครงการช่วยเหลือผู้ซื้อบ้านหลังแรก Help to Buy Housing ผ่านสภาแล้วนักกิจกรรมประณามกฎหมายการย้ายถิ่นฐานชุดใหม่ของรัฐบาลอัลบานีซีอัตราเงินเฟ้อออสเตรเลียใกล้ถึงระดับต่ำสุดของเป้าของธนาคารกลางแล้วติดตามสรุปข่าวรอบวันจาก SBS ไทยประจำวันที่ 27 พฤศจิกายน 2567 กับกระผมวาริศหนึ่งช่วยรัฐบาลอัลบานีซีประสบความสำเร็จในการผ่านร่างโครงการ Help to Buy Housing ได้สำเร็จหลังจากผ่านการต่อสู้ในสภามาอย่างยาวนานซึ่งโครงการนี้จะช่วยให้ผู้ซื้อบ้านหลังแรก 10,000 คนสามารถซื้อบ้านได้ในแต่ละปีด้วยเงินสนับสนุนจากรัฐบาลผลสำรวจจากเว็บไซต์ flatmate.com.au เผยให้เห็นว่าผู้เช่าบ้านเกือบ 60% กำลังประสบปัญหาในการชำระเงินซึ่งเพิ่มขึ้นจาก 14% ในปี 2023 นายกรัฐมนตรีแอนโทนี อัลบานีซีกล่าวว่าโครงการ Help to Buy จะช่วยให้ชาวออสเตรเลียบางส่วนมีโอกาสได้ผ่อนชำระซึ่งเขายังกล่าวด้วยว่าความช่วยเหลือใหม่สำหรับผู้ที่ใฝ่ฝันที่อยากจะเป็นเจ้าของบ้าน 10,000 รายในทุกๆปีและจะเป็นเส้นทางใหม่สู่การเป็นเจ้าของบ้านสำหรับชาวออสเตรเลียที่ทำงานหนักโดยรัฐบาลได้ยืนหยัด
Oh, it went backwards again. Don't worry, we'll get it forward. Oopala. These people are very proud, very conservative. These people, they know how to cook food, right? They know how to live, right? In confine them little space, they make it. They do it. They do a 1-bedroom apartment. Have a full family in it. You know what I mean? It's incredible. These people that endurance, sport. I don't know why they're not good at soccer. That's what I can't. I don't know why they're not good at football, soccer. Thailand should be good at soccer. Should be faster and quicker. Can beat China. Come on, Thailand, you can do it. And their politics, why is this red and blue and they get on the street and they one side is red, one side is blue. Anti-corruption, selling cars second-hand for higher price. Anything that the lady is a prostitute or someone is stupid, we're breaking the laws. No, be nice. People are nice. People are beautiful. Interesting customs and tradition of Thailand.
ของภาครัฐในช่องกับการปรับเปลี่ยนตานี้เช่นเรียบางส่วนมีโอกาสได้ผ่อนชำระซึ่งเขายังกล่าวด้วยว่าความช่วยเหลือใหม่สำหรับผู้ที่ใฝ่ฝันที่อยากจะเป็นเจ้าของบ้าน 10,000 รายในทุกๆปีและจะเป็นเส้นทางใหม่สู่การเป็นเจ้าของบ้านสำหรับชาวออสเตรเลียที่ทำงานหนักโดยรัฐบาลได้ยืนหยัดในจุดยืนเพราะใส่ใจที่จะช่วยให้ชาวออสเตรเลียจำนวนมากมีที่อยู่อาศัยเนื่องจากรัฐบาลพรรคแรงงานสนับสนุนความปรารถนาในการเป็นเจ้าของบ้านและเราต้องการทำให้ความฝันนั้นเป็นจริงสำหรับชาวออสเตรเลียมากขึ้นขณะที่ด้านนโยบายสร้างเพื่อเช่าของพรรคแรงงานจะผ่านสภาในสัปดาห์นี้เช่นกันหลังจากที่พรรคกรีนตัดสินใจให้ทั้งสองมาตรการผ่านแม้ว่าจะไม่สามารถบรรลุการลงทุนในโครงการบ้านพักอาศัยสาธารณะที่สำคัญกว่าที่พวกเขานั้นเสนอเข้ามานโยบายสร้างเพื่อเช่านั้นเกี่ยวข้องกับการปรับเปลี่ยนการตั้งค่าภาษีเพื่อกระตุ้นการลงทุนจากต่างประเทศในโครงการพัฒนาที่อยู่อาศัยรูปแบบเฉพาะที่เป็นบ้านเพื่อเช่าแทนการขายนักกิจกรรมด้านผู้ลี้ภัยกำลังประณามกฎหมายการย้ายถิ่นฐานชุดใหม่ของรัฐบาลอัลบานีซีซึ่งรัฐบาลกล่าวว่าพวกเขาจะขยายการกักกันนอกชายฝั่งซึ่งเป็นที่ถกเถียงกันมานานสำหรับประเด็นนี้ในผู้ลี้ภัยขณะนี้คาดว่าร่างกฎหมายการย้ายถิ่นฐาน3ฉบับของพรรคแรงงานจะผ่านวุฒิสภาด้วยการสนับสนุนจากพรรคร่วมรัฐบาลโดยร่างดังกล่าวจะให้รัฐบาลมีอำนาจในการเนรเทศผู้ไม่ใช่พลเมืองหลายพันคนไปยังประเทศที่3ห้ามผู้ขอลี้ภัยใช้โทรศัพท์มือถือในศูนย์กักกันและจะมีการห้ามการเดินทางแบบรวมซึ่งเป็นนโยบายที่คล้ายๆกับนโยบายของทรัมป์อย่างไรก็ดีประเด็นนี้ยังเป็นส่วนหนึ่งของการเจรจาซึ่งอำนาจในการห้ามการเดินทางนั้นจะถูกทบทวนหลังจาก3ปีโดยจะมีรัฐมนตรีที่จะต้องมาให้เหตุผลว่าทำไมถึงจะต้องห้ามเอียนริทูนโฆษกของ Refugee Action Coalition กล่าวกับ SBS ว่าเป็นช่วงเวลาที่เลวร้ายสำหรับผู้ที่สนับสนุนสิทธิมนุษยชนซึ่งต่อสู้เพื่อเรียกร้องให้มีการปฏิบัติต่อผู้ลี้ภัยอย่างมีมนุษยธรรมมากขึ้นจากรัฐบาลในชุดที่ผ่านมาทิ้งท้ายกันที่อัตราเงินเฟ้อของออสเตรเลียขณะนี้ใกล้ถึงระดับต่ำสุดของช่วงเป้าหมายของธนาคารกลางแล้วซึ่งสำนักงานสถิติแห่งชาติระบุว่าดัชนีราคาผู้บริโภคลดลงต่ำสุดในรอบ3ปีในช่วง12เดือนที่ผ่านมาโดยอัตราดังกล่าวอยู่ที่ 2.1% ขณะที่ช่วงเป้าหมายของธนาคารกลางนั้นตั้งอยู่ที่ 2-3% ธนาคารกลางลังเลที่จะปรับเปลี่ยนอัตราดอกเบี้ยจนกว่าอัตราเงินเฟ้อจะลดลงมาอยู่ในช่วงดังกล่าวทั้งหมดนี้คือสรุปข่าวรอบวันจาก SBS ไทยประจำวันที่27พฤศจิกายน2567กับผมวาริศหนูช่วย
ฟังเรื่องราวน่าสนใจแบบนี้อีกใช่ไหมฟังได้ทาง Apple Podcast Google Podcast Spotify หรือที่อื่นๆที่คุณฟัง podcast ของคุณ
Shit, I went too far. What about the Spanish one? Wait up, I'll do this one first. We just press play. See what's going on.
If you do want to call back, I'll get you on and try and get you on after the news. But apologies because I did accidentally, I think, cut you off. Ray and just here at my own at the moment, so I can't sort of quite answer phones while I'm chatting on air. Helen on the text says, I'm completely disgusted with the inhumane way they're killing the Brumbies. There are millions of other big animals roaming around the countryside beside horses. And also this one from CJ, any topic, anytime, horses are better than cats. No one wants to save the horses. We'll take responsibility for them. It's someone else's problem to solve. Get out and protest. That's what CJ says. You 100% agree with Faye. I'm not sure who that was, but they do. Number ending in 063. And also read the Brumbies. Well, this person's saying, well, they're feral horses. Yeah, well, they are, but that's not the issue that we're talking about here. The thing we're talking about is the fact that they're being killed inhumanely. We're going to take more of your calls after news. Now, it's time for Jan and Dean.
They can continue to build the run rate up and as quick as possibly.
71 needed from 44 deliveries as Molyneux around the wicket and a ram clipped over the top of the keeper Fulton. It works for Jonathan and she gets off the mark with a somewhat risky shot to do so. She moves to 1 from 3 to
6 weeks of freedom ended at this Sydney caravan park. Police acting on a tip-off surrounded caravan number 14, where John Killick and Lucy Dunco were asleep.
Did you get a jail sentence then?
Yeah, 28 years. Still on parole.
So when you got out...
We're allowed me to stay. If I hadn't had somewhere to live, I wouldn't probably get out. That's the thing. But I've been out about 6 years. I've put out 3 books, nearly finished a 4th. I do a lot of work with charity. I send quite a bit of money to underprivileged kids and that.
What happened to Lucy?
She got 10 years. She found religion at the end. You could say I ruined her life, but at the same time she had a hell of a marriage. She sort of jumped out of the frying pan into the fire with me. The one that comes shining through all of it is Gloria.
BBL on ABC Sport.
My boyfriend wants to talk. My boyfriend talks too much. Too much about our love. Our love is not enough.
Things clinching. We're number crunching here today, aren't we, Kelly? So 98 is the revised target. That's the main number you need to know. It's now a 12-over game, and we're 5 overs into the run chase. The Heat are 3 for 30.
Yeah, look, it's going to be really hard for the Heat from here. We know that there was no 6 in the first innings. Boundaries are hard to come by, so the Heat are going to have to find a way here.
It'll be Georgia with the revised target. That's the main number you need to know.
Just make it even harder for the Heat.
There's a beautiful document we've been waiting for. This
justify taking off those tariffs. So unless China is willing to change its policy, I think those China tariffs will just remain in place. And of course, President Trump has promised to increase them further.
If the negotiation strategy is to use the weapon of tariffs to have a better trade system, which would be lower tariffs, that would be great. A high tariff that's beyond the revenue maximizing point can be very destructive, because if a tariff is so high,
government defends strict eligibility requirements for escaping violence payment, ABC News. In short, more than half of those who have previously applied for the payment have either been declined or failed to complete the process. The payment is only for those escaping a partner, not another violent person like a parent or carer. What's Next advocates are calling for widening of eligibility to ensure the most vulnerable are protected. The federal government says it has no plans to allow more people escaping domestic violence to access an emergency payment of $5,000 despite calls from the sector to do so. Less than half of those who applied for the government's escaping violence payment were successful in getting the funding, with advocates calling for an urgent expansion of the program. But Social Services Minister Amanda Rishworth says there are no plans to lower eligibility requirements, despite the payment only applying to people escaping violence by a partner. This payment is specifically for leaving an intimate partner relationship that is not currently looked at as being expanded, she told the ABC. This is an important part of the system, but not the only part of support in the system. Ms. Rishworth said those escaping sexual, domestic or family violence, where perpetrators are not their partner, will be directed to other services and support. Obviously, there are other avenues through Centrelink for crisis payments, so there's a range of different pathways for people. According to a Department of Social Services assessment, just 36% of applicants prior to April 1, 2023 were found to be eligible to get the $5,000 payment. Almost a quarter of applicants were deemed ineligible, with 7% still awaiting a ruling and 33% of applicants not proceeding with the process. The payments are part of a trial that has been in place since 2021, with a new but similar leaving violence program set to come into place in mid-2025. Utter disappointment, to be honest. CEO of Domestic Violence in SW, Delia Donovan, said the payments are a good start, but must be expanded. Our first thoughts hearing National Cabinet's announcements were utter disappointment, to be perfectly honest, she said. Extending the Escaping Family Violence program was essential, and we would have assumed would have been part of a package whether or not we were in a national crisis. She urged those who are trying to escape a violent situation to take up the payment as soon as they can, but said the government must expand eligibility so it can reach those who need it, including those with no fixed address. Often when you're leaving a domestic and family violence situation, you might be in a car, sadly, couch surfing, staying with family. We believe that might be one of the reasons that so many people were ineligible. Ms. Donovan said the payment needed to be entirely cash, compared to the current split of cash and controlled spending. The payment is $1,500 in cash, and $3,500 is paid to a caseworker to facilitate services. Victim survivors need to know that they can instantaneously get that payment, and that the turnaround time to get that payment is fast, and that it's cash. Because the payment is limited to those escaping a violent partner, victim survivors trying to flee an abusive family member or carer are not eligible. The payment will be extended to people on temporary visas who were not eligible under the pilot. We were really pleased to see that eligibility was expanded to temporary visa holders. That was really important, but what now needs to happen is that we expand this program for people beyond intimate partner violence. What the review said needed to happen. The review of the program pointed to the need to improve equity of access with those from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, along with older Australians and residents in remote areas of the Northern Territory least represented among recipients. This likely reflects a combination of the eligibility criteria being limited to intimate partner violence, low awareness, and the accessibility of the application process, the review states. It is not clear whether the SPI is reaching people with disabilities and people who identify as LGBTQ+. It recommended considering broadening criteria to ensure these groups can access the payment, but also investigating ways to limit demand. The assessment of the trial program warned that the early implementation of the payments was dogged by major challenges. This included the announcement of the trial before the department could consult with the women's safety sector, and before the provider could undertake an establishment phase, and the trial design and hence resourcing, not anticipating the high numbers of people who have self-referred. But participants who accessed the payment overwhelmingly said it was helpful and relieved financial stress from escaping a violent situation. Government not planning to increase payment. While the payment will be indexed from next year, in line with inflation, because of the rising cost of living, the payment is now worth around $740 less now than it was when it was first implemented. But MS Rishuev wouldn't be drawn on whether the government would look at raising that baseline figure. We've made this payment permanent. There was no money in the budget for this payment to continue. It was due to end on the 30th of June because the previous government had made it only temporary. Opposition spokesperson for Child Protection and Prevention of Family Violence, Karen Liddell, said the government needs to provide more detail on the specifics of the program. There could be legitimate reasons why people were rejected, but there also could be really simple ones, like the fact that people could not have a joint bank account. Now, if you're in an coercive control environment, you're probably not likely to have your own bank account. So how on earth does that then allow you to be eligible under this program? I go back to big announcement, short on detail. And I know that the sector, because I've already spoken to a few in the sector, are saying we really need to know what's being proposed here, so that we know that it's responding to the need now. Professional misconduct can end a career who should get a second chance. We all make mistakes at work. And many factors can contribute to professional lapses, including fatigue, illness, and lack of training or professional support. Usually we pick up the pieces and move on. But for those who work in high-risk sectors and with vulnerable people, teachers and doctors, among others, the outcome of professional misconduct can be
Yeah. When there's like ability for someone higher, like a scientist, a lady or man, a scientist or a German electrician for planes, helicopters, mechanics, special cement to build the building, cement for the building, create a new apartment, how run the electricity in the apartment. There's a way of people getting certificate, becoming scientists, doctors, checking the brain, biologists, or whatever the words are. Award-winning people. We thank you on the name of God. We thank you, award-winning people. We thank you. There's a few of you around that can change the heart, put a new heart in there. You're a nice doctor. You're 29 years old, very tall person, about environment, collecting how to grow new vegetables, new oil, olive oil, and other extremists cultivating the country in a place where you can go to university, become police officers, SOS, look after the fires, forests, snakes, 33345, the police, the ambulance. People are mad, crazy.
Career ending. Disciplinary bodies and workplaces can respond to misconduct by removing a professional's ability to practice. Alternatively, they can impose rehabilitative measures to help someone return to work. For example, they can...
To improve, to get better, you lose the ability and you're out and you go, oh no, now I can't go in that bill. Oh, motherfucker. You lost your certificate. Oh, you still got the certificate, but you don't have that job. Now you got to look for another one. Oh, the sexy lady was with a skirt and the sexy man was with a tie. And they said, we lost our job for not working on time and we're lazy. We did something wrong. Ha 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 ha. I love you. I love you.
Can oblige someone to undergo more training. Among others, the outcome of professional misconduct can be career ending. Disciplinary bodies and workplaces can respond to misconduct by removing a professional's ability to practice. Alternatively, they can impose rehabilitative measures to help someone return to work. For example, they can oblige someone to undergo more training or to practice under supervision for a set period. But the risk of repeated misconduct or harm to the public is a concern. So how do we balance public safety with the goal of rehabilitation? And would greater emphasis on rehabilitation avoid wasted investment in expensive education and training? Balancing safety and second chances. In New Zealand, registered professionals such as teachers, lawyers and health practitioners may be held accountable before a disciplinary tribunal. Our analysis of 15 years of disciplinary decisions about health practitioners reveals the range of conduct involved. From crossing professional boundaries to practicing without registration or misappropriating funds. Registered professionals may even be disciplined for conduct outside their work, such as being convicted of dangerous driving. The tribunal's primary concern is to protect the public and maintain professional standards. This way we can all trust in our education, health and legal workforce, knowing their services are safe and comply with expected standards. These tribunals also have the power to suspend practitioners or cancel their registration, effectively ending that person.
When they cancel their registration, they only live in that job in that building or in that sector or in that pro-military, FBI, CIA, very explicit, very fucking mad. And then you gotta find another one that's like that. If it's military or scientist or IBM or in the back of the bank, whatever, in security high. Well, fuck you.
Person's career. But by law, the tribunals should also consider alternative responses and whether the goal of public protection can be achieved in other ways. They can oblige a practitioner to practice under supervision, complete additional training, attend an ethics course, or undergo addiction treatment if relevant. But there is little consistency in how this is applied. More research on what works best is needed. The case for rehabilitation. Our analysis found the majority of tribunal decisions included some rehabilitative element. And there has been an increase in tribunals ordering conditions, such as training, supervision and mentoring. But the likelihood of receiving a rehabilitative outcome differs across professions. We found nurses were more likely than doctors to be deregistered as a result of disciplinary proceedings, for instance. It also appears some professional tribunals are more inclined than others to address the core issues that contributed to the misconduct. In fact, some explicitly craft compassionate penalties, taking account of distressing circumstances that led to professional breaches. Recent decisions by tribunals and the High Court highlight the growing importance of professional rehabilitation. These also illustrate the challenges in deciding who deserves it. In one case, the Lawyers Disciplinary Tribunal said failure to consider rehabilitation would leave its job largely undone. In 2022, the High Court overturned a disciplinary tribunal's decision to deregister a pharmacist because the tribunal did not sufficiently assess the prospects of her rehabilitation. The case involved mismanagement of a pharmacy and breach of conditions imposed on the pharmacy license. In overturning the original decision, the High Court described the penalty as unduly harsh and reaffirmed the importance of rehabilitation. Who deserves rehabilitation? Our society makes great investments in the training and support of health practitioners, lawyers, and teachers. Supporting them to continue practicing safely, rather than striking them off, may have societal and economic benefits. But sometimes misconduct cannot be remedied. For example, when teachers engage in sexual relationships with their students. The outcome is often deregistration. The severity of such misconduct and protecting students from harm are prioritized over rehabilitation efforts. In one case, where a female teacher developed an intimate relationship with her vulnerable student, the tribunal said registration was the only acceptable outcome. This was despite the teacher's remorse, her insight into her behavior, and the fact she prioritized the student's needs after the relationship ended. In other sectors such as criminal justice and health, theoretical concepts have guided rehabilitation practice. For example, the risk needs responsivity model is widely adopted in the rehabilitation of criminal offenders and provides guidance for implementing the programs towards a better model. Despite rehab being a common response in the justice system, we don't have similar models specifically developed for professional misconduct. And surprisingly little is known about how New Zealand tribunals craft rehabilitation penalties. While tribunals often consider practitioners' levels of remorse and insight, assessing the prospects of rehabilitation poses challenges, as the recent High Court appeal demonstrated. We also don't know what responses work best in restoring practitioners to safe and competent practice after misconduct. For example, how effective are mandated ethics courses, or how well do practitioners engage with supervision conditions? An interdisciplinary research project is underway to understand this. We are seeking the views of teachers, lawyers, and health practitioners who have been ordered to undergo treatment, training, supervision, mentoring, counseling, or health assessment by their disciplinary tribunals. Understanding their experiences of professional rehabilitation will help improve consistency within and across tribunals, and could transform how workplaces in other sectors respond to misconduct. Health professionals, teachers, and lawyers who have received rehabilitative conditions from a disciplinary tribunal and would like to participate in this research are invited to contact the team here. Spending down on harm reduction for illicit drugs report. Australian governments are spending more on law enforcement against illicit drugs than treatment and prevention, according to a report released today by the National Drug and Alcohol Research Centre. The report, presented at a symposium in Canberra today, compared state and federal government expenditure between 2002 and 2009. While overall spending on illicit drug policy has increased to $1.7 billion in 2009/10, up from $1.13 billion in 2002/3. It decreased for harm reduction measures, such as needle exchange programs, the report found. That's of real concern, because Australia has led the way in terms of harm reduction from the mid-1980s, and it seems that spending has decreased in that area. Despite known effectiveness of those programs, said Alison Ritter, lead study author and specialist in drug policy at the National Drug and Alcohol Research Centre at the University of NSW. Spending was highest on law enforcement 66%, then treatment 21%, prevention 9%, and harm reduction 2%. Treatment and harm reduction. At the moment, the $1.70 billion spent on illicit drug policy makes up 0.8% of all government spending, which the researchers said was inadequate when compared to the social, economic and health burdens of illicit drugs. Professor Ritter said that clinicians have recognized there are a lot more people who want and need treatment than are receiving it. Arresting a drug dealer consumes more resources than activities such as needle syringe programs, which are inexpensive and straightforward. According to Professor Ritter. State versus federal funding. It's interesting when we talk about illicit drug policy, the federal government is often the target for attention from researchers and advocacy groups. Professor Ritter said. But in actual fact, in terms of policy influence, in order for advocacy groups to get bang for their buck, they should be talking to state and territory governments probably a lot more than we do. Carolyn Day, Associate Professor in Addiction Medicine at the University of Sydney, said that while the federal government is responsible for funding primary health care, there are specialist services which tend to fall under state responsibilities. It can be very frustrating because it's difficult to know who is responsible for what, she said. Uphill battle. Alex Wodak, Emeritus Consultant at St. Vincent's Hospital in Darlinghurst, Sydney, said there is minimal evidence that law enforcement is cost-effective. If governments were serious about repairing the structural deficits in their budgets and responding effectively to illicit drugs, they would shift spending from drug law enforcement to treatment and harm reduction, he said. Despite the high spending on law enforcement measures, Drive Wodak said that illicit drugs are still readily available. According to the 2010 illicit drugs reporting system, 92% of drug users said that hydroponic cannabis was easy or very easy to obtain, and 87% said that heroin was easy or very easy to obtain. Drive Wodak said that government should include a direct line of spending on illicit drugs. It is up to governments to use these new figures if they are serious about their budget problems and are serious about illicit drugs. Unfortunately, bad policy has been good politics for a long time. This is now starting to change. Gangsternomics, the nasty business of criminalizing drugs. Policy-making is supposedly influenced by scientific evidence, which in turn leads to better political, social and economic outcomes, depending on the issue at hand. One would like to think that in a moderately progressive Australia, policies are designed to ensure best practice. If an outcome of a policy keeps on constantly producing substantial negative results, it stands to reason that policy should be revised according to what the evidence suggests. There is, however, one policy that has led to a continuing disaster decade after decade, the criminalization of drugs. This issue has, in large part, underpinned the creation of one of Australia's most popular television series, Underbelly. Governments over the world have criminalized the production, allocation. There is, however, one policy that has led to a continuing disaster decade after decade, the criminalization of drugs. This issue has, in large part, underpinned the creation of one of Australia's most popular television series, Underbelly. Governments over the world have criminalized the production, allocation and consumption of various substances they deem to be dangerous to public health. We are told that drug prohibition is in our best interest. Only a casual glance at the statistics shows this policy is a fraud. The Australian government's own data shows that alcohol was to blame for 1084 deaths in 2003, and tobacco caused 15,511 deaths. All illicit drugs accounted for 1,705 deaths in the same year. Simply put, alcohol and tobacco, the two most popular legal drugs, kill more Australians every year than all other illicit drugs combined by a factor of nearly 10. Protection of the public health can't possibly be the justification for drug criminalization because it simply moves the problem to the black market, which shows no sign of abating. This is the case everywhere. Australians who want drugs will always get them. Protection of public health is simply the pretext for the real reason, a state-sponsored class war against the public. The wealthy and professionals are not the intended target of drug criminalization. They can easily afford highly priced drugs at a somewhat reasonable quality. If caught, their lawyers can get them off with a slap on the wrist. Instead, prohibition is designed to control the dangerous rabble, the poor and working class. They lack quality legal representation, are the continual targets of the police, comprise the majority of street-level dealers, and directly suffer from violent disputes between cartels. It is not difficult to see who benefits from current policy. The state can use the drug scare card to advance its agenda of further controlling and interfering in our private lives. Private prisons increase revenue and profit, perversely, as a greater number of people are jailed for mostly victimless drug offenses. Lawyers gain substantially as the judicial system is saturated with drug cases. The economic and social problems generated by the illegal drug trade are significant: monopolistic pricing, dubious production quality, settling arguments with violence rather than lawyers, street crime, abrogation of individual liberties, foregone tax revenue and the establishment of a bureaucratic and costly law enforcement lawyer, judicial prison industrial complex. Drug cartel profits are known to finance illegal prostitution, terrorism, counterfeiting, money laundering, slavery and assassination such as those occurring frequently in northern Mexico. The problems generated by drugs are not inherent to consumption, but rather to their prohibited status. Governments know perfectly well how to solve the drug problem: legalization. If drugs are considered exceedingly harmful, as the prohibitionists claim, then it stands to reason that the best way to deal with them is to adopt a tax and regulation approach rather than leaving it to the black market. Drugs can be produced under quality control and sold on the market as with alcohol and tobacco, with the usual advertising and age restrictions. Substantial sin and externality taxes can be levied to discourage consumption and pay for the costs it produces, including drug treatment and needle exchange programs. Legalization will inevitably result in the dismantling of the sectors of the pernicious state bureaucracy and parasitical private sector interests previously involved with the drug black market. This will save taxpayers billions. Sales, sin and externality taxes will likely yield tens of millions of dollars. Street crime associated with the drug trade will cease to exist. This is not to say that legalized drugs would cause no problems. Clearly, they would. But they would be nowhere near as dangerous to individuals and society as alcohol and tobacco. Marijuana consumption has yet to result in a single death, and ecstasy produces a handful of deaths per year, cocaine and heroin a few more. Interestingly, junk food consumption and lack of exercise is a major factor contributing to early death. Yet no politician would ever dare to consider criminalizing junk food and imprisoning people for being fat, or forcing them into health camps. Many medicines are addictive, for instance, oxycodone and methadone, but the government does not carry out a war against the pharmaceutical corporations. They are taxed and regulated. Criminalization of drugs abrogates the fundamental principles of free markets, free trade, consumer sovereignty, individual liberties, small government and limited public expenditure principles considered conservative. Yet it is the right wing that is most in favor of criminalization that defiles their professed beliefs. This is not a contradiction. The mainstream right wing of today is not conservative, but rather radical statist reactionaries who believe in a powerful and interventionist state to pursue a vicious class war against the public. Ironically, the government is the best ally of the drug cartels, as the criminalized status of drugs allows the cartels to rake in enormous profits. All the while the government claims to be tough on drugs. Unfortunately, liberal governments have proved to be too spineless to depart from the party line and change policy. The only way drug policy can be altered is through substantial activism on part of the public, who realize that control of the drug market should not be determined by unaccountable cartels, backed by a government that cares only for perpetuating its own power.
Whoa.
Georgia, violent protests in Tbilisi as pro-Russian government suspends bid to join EU until 2028. World News. Sky News. Violent protests have erupted in Georgia over its ruling party's decision to put talks on the country's long-standing bid to join the EU back until 2028. Police in riot gear used a water cannon, tear gas and pepper spray as they ordered crowds of protesters on the streets of Georgia's capital, Tbilisi, to disperse. Pictures show masked protesters clashing with police and being dragged away, while some of the demonstrators tossed fireworks at officers shouting Russians and slaves. 3 police officers were injured, the country's interior ministry said. It comes after tens of thousands protested last month against the results of parliamentary elections which they claimed had been rigged with the help of Russia. Read more. Greta Thunberg joins Georgian protests. Georgia, a nation in turmoil. The Georgian Dream governing bloc accused the EU of a cascade of insults, saying in a statement it was using the prospect of accession talks to blackmail the country and to organize a revolution in the country. As a result, it said, we have decided not to put the issue of opening negotiations with the European Union on the agenda until the end of 2028. Also, we refuse any budgetary grant from the European Union until the end of 2028. President Salam Shurabitchli, a pro-EU critic of Georgian Dream whose powers are mostly ceremonial, said the ruling party had declared not peace, but war against its own people, its past and future. Georgia, an ex-Soviet state, which has held aspirations to join the 27-member state bloc, has had a series of mass protests against what is seen as an increasingly pro-Russia government over the past year. Please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. 051. Riot police clashed with protesters in Tbilisi. Georgia has been a nation in turmoil since its parliamentary election last month. The Georgian Dream, which has been in power for 12 years, has denounced claims it is pro-Russian and stated it is committed to democracy and integration with the West.
Syria's armed forces confirmed on Saturday that rebel troops managed to take over large parts of Aleppo, killing dozens of soldiers, and is preparing for a counterattack. In a major setback for President Assad, thousands of Syrian insurgents broke through government defense lines in Aleppo on Friday, facing little resistance from government troops.
Armed rebels occupy center of Aleppo, Syria's largest city, Euronews. More than 100,000 soldiers have been charged under Ukraine's desertion laws since Russia invaded in 2022, according to the country's general prosecutor. Desertion is starving the Ukrainian army of desperately needed manpower and crippling its battle plans at a crucial time in its war with Russia. Facing every imaginable shortage, tens of thousands of Ukrainian troops, tired and bereft, have walked away from combat and front-line positions to slide into anonymity, according to soldiers, lawyers, and Ukrainian officials. Entire units have abandoned their...
Wait up. We're talking Syria. Well, what was he talking about Ukraine for? It was in Syria. Why did it do that? Did it need to do that, or need to do that? Need to do that or something?
Insurgents' attack on Assad-controlled Aleppo revives Syrian war after 5-year truce, Euronews. As arms have been temporarily laid down in South Lebanon, the Turkish-supported Syrian Salvation Government forces attacked the historic city held by Assad's army, reawakening the war in the Middle Eastern country. Advertisement. Fierce fighting has been taking place on Friday in Aleppo's western neighborhood, where the National Army has lost control over the key district of New Aleppo that the Hezbollah and the Iranian militias have left abandoned. The offensive of the rebel, Syrian Salvation Government SSG, forces has also taken control of the urban areas of Khalsa, Rashidin and Khan Tuman, where, according to Livia Map monitoring website, the army under the command of President Bashar al-Assad abandoned 4 old Soviet-made T-55 tanks. Russian and Syrian air forces this Friday morning reacted and bombed Idlib province, the SSG's de facto capital. According to unconfirmed reports, a total of 200 soldiers have lost their lives. Idlib forces claimed casualties included Russian members of a drone unit. A surprise attack on Aleppo on Thursday by SSG forces breached the 5-year-long...
Is Syria, I don't know what I'm saying, but is Syria connected to Russia? With Syria, can Russia only help Syria to stop the rebels, or can Russia create an army to patrol every suburb or town or township or parenthood, ship townhood, whatever? How come Russia do all this? And Russia not be connected with NATO to combat and to kill these enemies who are trying to terrorize the towns.
Truce. Reawakening the Syrian war just hours after a ceasefire came into effect in neighboring Lebanon, where Israel and Hezbollah agreed to lay down arms on Wednesday. Fighting is also reported to be underway in the demilitarized zone of northern Syria bordering Turkey, according to Livia Map. Turkish-supported anti-Assad forces have succeeded in taking control of a portion of the M5, the main roadway junction between Aleppo and the capital Damascus, according to official sources. Who are the forces on the ground? Syrian, Russian and Iranian forces fear that the new offensive could lead the rebels to succeed in gaining full control of the city of Aleppo, which would be a major blow for Moscow and Tehran, with the...
All right, what's Iran trying to do? Iran is trying to intervene to go inside of Syria, everyone. Is trying to do this, and Iran is trying to get the army to protect the people of Syria, like what Russia is doing. You know what I mean? So why do that? Because the Iranians are saying we're going to go inside with our own army and our own guns and everything, and we're going to patrol the area as well. And Russia is doing the same thing. So is Iran controlling. They're not taking over. They're just controlling and these gunfights or something like this. Oh, one of them died, and that's how it started a gunfight. One of the Iranian soldiers died, so they started fighting the rebels inside Syria because Iran was helping to stop the rebels invasion. So, and so is Syria. So they're having big problems in Syria about rebels and gangs and warlords and fighting like Al Qaeda or ISIS.
The latter still reeling from its ally Hezbollah's recent losses suffered in southern Lebanon. Key Iranian revolution.
Okay, and they're gonna keep bombing the part of Lebanon near the border of Lebanon and Israel. Israel's got longer rockets, and they just throw and then leave it there, and then the people fight themselves. They're killing each other. Yucky, yucky, yucky. They destroy, and their own people are killing each other. They're all fuckwits. Everyone yucky, yucky. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's disgusting. When you kill your own people, or you have inside rebels inside of the border, inside the rebels.
Revolutionary Guard commander Kumar Porashami was reportedly killed in the first hours of the skirmishing in Aleppo. While Russian airstrikes are particularly fierce in the urban area of Khan Aysal, the site of an important Syrian army fuel base. According to Iranian sources, the government of Assad has deployed the Russian-trained 25th Special Forces Division, formerly known as the Tiger Forces, to the historic city and capital of the most populous governorate in Syria. The SSG is supported by the Islamist group Taro al-Sham, accused of extremist beliefs and linked to Jabhat al-Nusra, al-Qaeda's Syrian franchise that was operational until 2019. Other military units deployed by the presidential forces include the Palestinian Jerusalem Brigade and the 4th Syrian Division. Armed with modern T-90, Russian-made tanks and upgraded versions of the T-72. Syria hosts 2 strategic military outposts for Moscow, the Russian Navy's eastern Mediterranean port in Tartus and a warplane airport in Kashmir.
The cabinet of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has approved an Israeli-Hezbollah ceasefire deal after he had recommended it.
משך הפסקת האש תלוי במה שהתרחש בלבנון. בהבנה מלאה עם ארצות הברית, אנחנו שומרים על חופש פעולה צבאי.
Following PM Netanyahu's recommendation, Israeli cabinet approves ceasefire deal with Hezbollah.
מלא. אם חיזבאללה יפר את ההסכם וינסה...
Video. Dozens of Israelis call for return of Gaza hostages. Euronews. Now playing next. Dozens of Israelis call for return of Gaza hostages. Now playing next. Cute animals feast on Thanksgiving treats at Oregon Zoo. Now playing next. Striking workers in Italy demand wage hikes amid soaring inflation. Now playing next. Latest news bulletin November 30th evening. Now playing next.
Thessaloniki, Greece's second largest city, gets a new metro, whose first construction began about 38 years ago.
Syria's armed forces confirmed on Saturday that rebel troops managed to take over large parts of Aleppo, killing dozens of soldiers, and is preparing for a counterattack. In a major setback for President Assad, thousands of Syrian insurgents broke through government defense lines in Aleppo on Friday, facing little resistance from government troops. The surprise attack was led by Islamist rebels, jolting the front lines of the Syrian civil war that began in 2011. It was the first time government troops battled rebels in Syria's largest city since 2016, when President Assad regained control of the city. The insurgents entered Aleppo's western neighborhood after taking control of dozens of villages south of the city since Wednesday. They were seen tearing down posters of Assad, stepping on some and burning others. Friday's push into Aleppo followed weeks of low-level violence, including government attacks on opposition-held areas.
Thousands of people have protested for a second night against the Georgian government's decision to suspend European Union accession negotiations. Protesters swarmed the parliament in the capital Tbilisi, with some trying to break the metal gates to the building. Riot police used tear gas and pepper spray to push protesters back. That elicited an angry response from the country's pro-EU president Salome Zurabishvili, who called it Russian-style repression in a post on X. The ruling Georgian Dream's victory in October's elections sparked massive demonstrations, with the opposition claiming the vote was rigged. That led EU lawmakers to press for a rerun under international supervision. But Georgia's Prime Minister Irakli Kobahidze hit back, accusing the EU of blackmail, and suspended accession talks until 2028. The EU granted Georgia candidate country status in December 2023.
Chancellor Scholz's Social Democrat Party kicked off the election campaign on Saturday with a so-called victory conference. With only 85 days remaining until Germany's snap elections, Scholz positioned the SPD as the only party for the people and heavily criticised the CDU, who are currently leading in the polls. The Chancellor promised to protect jobs and distance Germany from the EU regarding electric vehicles and urged negotiations with China over tariffs. Whilst the mood amongst SPD members was jubilant, Defence Minister Pistorius was not at the conference.
Oh, it's got all the videos. Why has it got all the videos?
Russian acts of sabotage may lead to NATO invoking Article 5, says German intel chief Reuters. Berlin, November 27. Reuters. Russia's acts of sabotage against Western targets may eventually prompt NATO to consider invoking the alliance's Article 5 mutual defense clause, the head of Germany's Foreign Intelligence Service said on Wednesday. Speaking at an event of the DGAP think tank in Berlin on Wednesday, Bundesnachrichtendienst chief Bruno Kohl said he expected Moscow to further step up its hybrid warfare. The extensive use of hybrid measures by Russia increases the risk that NATO will eventually consider invoking its Article 5 mutual defense clause, he noted. At the same time, the increasing ramp-up of the Russian military potential means a direct military confrontation with NATO becomes one possible option for the Kremlin. Under Article 5, if a NATO member comes under attack, the other members of the alliance are obliged to help it respond. NATO and Western intelligence services have warned that Russia is behind a growing number of hostile activities across the Euro-Atlantic area, ranging from repeated cyber attacks to Moscow-linked arson, all of which Russia denies. Kohl said Russia's military would likely be capable of attacking NATO by the end of the decade, adding that Moscow's war on Ukraine meant that it had battle-proven troops under its command, which raised the threat emanating from its conventional forces, while it also mastered modern drone warfare. According to the assessment of his experts, high-ranking officials in the Russian Defense Ministry doubt whether NATO's Article 5, including U.S. protective measures for Europe, would actually be invoked in case of an emergency, the intel chief said. We don't have any indication yet that Russia intends to go to war, but if such sentiments gain the upper hand in the government in Moscow, then the risk for a military confrontation will grow over the coming years. Should Russia attack one or several NATO allies, it would not do so to grab massive swathes of land, Paul said, but rather to test red lines set by the West with the aim of defeating Western unity and NATO as a defensive alliance. In Russia's view, this goal would be reached if Article 5 were to remain without effect in case of a Russian attack, he said. To meet this target, you don't need to send tank armies westwards, it is enough to dispatch little green men to the Baltics to protect allegedly threatened Russian minorities or adjust borders on Svalbard. The Reuters daily briefing newsletter provides all the news you need to start your day. Sign up. Reporting by Sabine Siebold, editing by Riam Alcacer and Alistair Bell. Our standards, the Thomson Reuters Trust Principles. Opens new tab. Michael Hartnett's trades for 2025 go big in 25 inches, and here's how: 0 each. It was a November to remember in the equity market, with some of the most speculative assets generating the most outsized returns in the weeks following Trump's election, among them Bitcoin plus 31%, Spec Tech RK plus 23% even as the AI complex went nowhere, US banks plus 14%, and small caps plus 10%. It was much less pleasant month for some recent winners, such as a gold miners minus 8%, and as for chronic losers, it was just pain piling on more pain, with China minus 6% and renewables minus 10%, continuing to sink fast. The catalyst, a financial world turned upside thanks to Trump and thanks to what both as CIO, Michael Hartnett calls big policies, big moves, big tails. Looking ahead, Hartnett sees more of the same, the acceleration of big policies, big moves. Big tail means that investment backdrop heading into 25 is one of big US row economic decoupling between aggressive US growth/trade policies set to exacerbate US boom/global bust. Commercial real estate bond distress reaches record high zero each. Via skiffgold.com. From the National Debt to Negative Jobs reports, data has been piling up that suggests America's economic bubble is ready to burst. Now, with the Fed's most recent round of rate cuts moving through the economy, fault lines are appearing in the commercial real estate sector. The following article was originally published by the Mises Institute. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Peter Schiff or Skiffgold. Commercial real estate continues to suffer despite the Federal Reserve's attempt at ameliorating the capital markets with a 50 basis point rate cut in September. The pain is especially apparent in the so-called CCLO bond market. CCLO bonds are packaged commercial real estate mortgages comprising short-term, floating-rate loans. These bridge loans were recently, and most notably, used to facilitate the biggest apartment investment bubble in history, but were also used in financing other commercial real estate sectors including office, retail, hotel, industrial, and self-storage. Most of the current batch of bridge loans originated in the 2020-2022 period, when benchmark rates were near zero and commercial real estate prices were peaking and carried maturities of 3 to 5 years. Benchmark rates are now much higher, prices much lower, and property performance far worse than anticipated. Thus, a wall of maturities is staring borrowers, lenders, and bondholders in the face, all while underlying property performance disappoints. Despite attempts by lenders to extend and pretend kicking the can down the road in the short term to avoid defaults, until the Federal Reserve lowers rates enough to bail them out, their delusions of reprieve may be fading fast. Apartment investors play checkers instead of chess. At the end of Q3, the distress rate for CCLO loans across all commercial real estate sectors reached 13.1%, an all-time high. Distress in this instance is defined as any loan reported 30 days or more delinquent, past the maturity date. In special servicing, typically due to a drop in occupancy or a failure to meet certain performance criteria, or any combination thereof. Figure 1.
If the criteria or whatever, not pay back in the wrong time set, and you can get into big fines and extra, you have to pay extra and everything is ridiculous. Out fuck, combinations, like what they're saying, the failure to meet certain performance criteria or any combination thereof. Figure 1.
Figure 1. While roughly 1 in 7 loans meets these criteria, the weakness is concentrated in 2 or 3 sectors. Unsurprisingly, office properties have the highest rate of distress, with nearly 1 in 5 CCLO office loans experiencing current distress. This is to be expected after the COVID panic of 2020, subsequent to which various work-from-home directives essentially made the office market obsolete. For similar reasons, distress is also high in the retail segment, as all but the most well-heeled retailers were forced under by the maniacal and criminal.
That's how Donald Trump was going to go to court and find guilty and all this, and he now become the president of America in a few months, like I said, a few weeks or something. It's going to come out with new rules about law enforcement. If you're allowed to kill the enemy while they're in your house, or you're allowed to put handcuffs on the enemy while you got the enemy, and you're allowed to put handcuffs on the enemy in a strict area like your house, or break and enter or whatever. All these things about guns, whether the gun has to be loaded or not loaded, or how you use who pulls the trigger, and the world is corrupting by killing each other, taking land, or like Russia and Ukraine and other countries like, say, Venezuela. Why don't they fix all these issues that is all around? We were doing this years ago. We already done this, or something like this, like protesting and economic collapse. For some countries who are lower majority, they don't have water or something to eat, or it's malaria or coronavirus.
Criminal government edicts of the time. However, The real story here is in the apartment or multifamily sector. Seen in Figure 1, the distress rate for apartments touched 16.4% in August. An astonishing number, indicating that 1 in 6 apartment bridge loans were distressed. The improvement to 13.7% shown for September is seasonal, as renters settle in at the start of the school year. While this picture is bad enough, the reality under the surface is far worse. As reported by the Wall Street Journal, using Q2 data from MC, the batch of currently distressed apartment bridge loans comprise roughly $14 billion in total loans. But there exists an additional $81 billion in potentially distressed loans. MC categorizes loans as potentially distressed if they have seen delinquent payments, forbearance when the lender lets interest payments accrue rather than taking a default action, or where key performance metrics like occupancy and net operating income are dangerously low. Figure 2. The arithmetically aware will note that if the $14 billion of currently distressed apartment bridge loans comprise a roughly 14% distress rate at the end of Q2 as shown in Figure 1, and there are an additional $81 billion in potentially distressed loans not yet categorized as currently distressed as shown in Figure 2, then MC data implies that 95% of all apartment bridge loans are either currently distressed or in imminent danger of distress. While astounding, this level of distress will come as no surprise to veterans of the apartment market. In the 2020-22 period, bridge loans of this variety were ubiquitous above a certain minimum loan size. And, because of the extreme and reckless nature of money printing undertaken by the Federal Reserve during this time,
They were printing money, no word of a lie. They were I don't know this. Okay, calm down. I'm not an expert. Not an expert, all right. Some people were working high revenue jobs like scientists, gym, they own their own gym, they own their own pizza parlor, they had a restaurant, they need to pay for their apartment or whatever this fuck you, get fucked, and they worked really hard and they were heroes. It was only a handful, not many that had restaurants. I don't know, Sydney, all around Sydney, all called restaurants, where people own those restaurants, and they're going to live in a new apartment, a new place to live. It's city life, or the future is going forward. Fuck you, get fucked. People are very unique. The 30 years old, sexy people that you would not understand. They got the certificate to own the restaurant, and they had a sidebar with music, and every Saturday, Sunday, Fridays had music and sidebar, and their family were well off, and they were getting in debt, a lot of money here, money there, control the debt.
Time when interest rates were effectively zero. Lenders underwrote property acquisitions with a 1.0x debt service coverage ratio (DSCR), meaning the initial net operating income of the property was projected to just cover interest payments, with nothing left over. Bridge loan interest rates floated at a spread typically around 350 basis points, or 3.5%, to the secured overnight financing rate SOFR, which was essentially 0% until mid-2022. Because of the 1.0x DSCR standard, a property acquired during this period that had net operating income of $1 million would have also had interest payments of $1 million at the then prevailing interest rate of 3.5%. SOFR is now 4.9%, indicating a total interest rate of 8.4% SOFR plus 3.5% spread. This same property now has interest payments of $2.4 million, while net operating income is unlikely to have increased to any significant extent, if at all. Insurance and property tax increases in particular have damaged apartment profitability, while rent increases have been difficult to execute in the face of stagnating real wages. By the same token, absurdly optimistic renovation plans have been impossible in the face of cash flows increasingly shunted towards paying interest. The amazing disappearing rate cut, the high amount of potential distress in CRE CLO bonds, and the loans that underlie them. indicate an expectation on the part of lenders that help is coming in the form of lower interest rates. After all, capital markets have become used to being bailed out by the Federal Reserve. All but demanding that the taxpayer not they be held responsible for their poor decisions. Nevertheless, the Fed's recent rate cut is proving not to be the magic bullet on which lenders relied. By August of this year, futures markets had fully priced in a 25 to 50 basis point Fed rate cut in September, and were expecting additional 25 basis point cuts in November and December. This expectation for the Fed funds rate carried over into Treasury yields, a key benchmark for the commercial real estate industry. Particularly important in the case of distressed bridge loans, since any hopes of refinancing are placed not on more bridge loans, which are now much less pervasive, but on the fixed-rate agency market, comprising Fannie Mae and Freddie-backed apartment loans, which prices loans off a spread to Treasuries. At the beginning of August, as markets priced in 75 to 100 bit per second of Fed rate cuts by year-end, 10-year Treasury yields reacted accordingly. Dropping from 4.30% in late July, they had been 4.70% in April, to 3.65% in the middle of September. As of early November, most of that move had been erased, with yields back near 4.30%, roughly where they were prior to market pricing in this year's Fed rate cuts. Fear and trembling. Undeniably, participants in the commercial real estate market, apartment bridge lenders in particular, are relying on loose monetary policy for their immediate salvation. They may get their wish. While Treasury rates have moved stubbornly higher, market forces only mean so much if the Fed decides to supplement rate cuts with purchases of Treasuries, driving yields lower. Another round of quantitative easing. Nevertheless, to the extent they're allowed to be heard, market signals are unmistakable. A regime that can't stop spending and continues to appropriate the property of its citizens through inflation will provide upward pressure on Treasury yields. All else equal. In a free market context, the rent seekers that comprise the commercial real estate market will have to work out their own salvation. Never miss the news that matters most. Zero-Heach directly to your inbox. Receive a daily recap featuring a curated list of must-read stories. Budget Planner Money, Mart.gov. Q. Can I create my own custom items? Yes. To add your own items, go to Settings and choose Enable Custom Items. You cannot change the label of the default items in the Budget Planner, but you can add your own sub-items by clicking on the Add link. You can also change the currency symbol under Settings. Q. Can I set a monthly budget and compare this with actual income and expenses? a house money, mart.gov. Buying a house is an exciting time. These steps will smooth your way through the house buying process. 1. Save for a house deposit. The first step is to get your finances sorted. Do a budget to identify how much you can afford to save for your deposit. Next, do some house price research. Getting a general idea of house prices helps you set a goal to work towards. A great savings goal for a house deposit is 20% of the purchase price, plus enough to cover buying costs. See steps 5 and 6 below. See Save for a House Deposit for more about how much you'll need to save and ways to save faster. 2. Work out what you can afford to borrow. Everyone's situation is different. How much you can afford to borrow depends on your income and financial commitments. House deposit, plus any other savings. Credit score and credit report. Be realistic about what you can afford. Mortgage interest rates are on the rise, so give yourself some breathing room. 3. Find the best home loan rate. When looking for a good deal on a home loan, the interest rate matters. A home loan is a long-term debt, so even a small difference in interest adds up over time. Compare home loan rates. Contact at least 2 different lenders to get loan options personalized for your situation. A rate even 0.5% lower could save you thousands of dollars over time. Seeking a home loan. Get help if you need it. With many lenders to choose from, you may decide to get a mortgage broker to find loan options for you. See using a mortgage broker for tips on what to ask your lender or broker. Get pre-approval to buy. Consider getting loan pre-approval from a lender. They'll ask for evidence of your current financial situation to assess your ability to repay the loan. Pre-approval lasts for 3 to 6 months and shows you're eligible to apply for a loan up to a certain amount. It doesn't commit you to a loan. It lets you set an affordable price range and tell sellers you're serious about buying. 4. Find a house to buy. Find a balance between the lifestyle you want and what you can comfortably afford. Know why you're buying. Reflect on why you want to buy. Are you planning to grow your family? Do you want to renovate? If you're buying with a partner, talk about this together. Being clear about why you're buying helps narrow down your property search. Consider your must-haves and nice-to-haves. Make a list of your must-haves, can't do without. For example, property size, layout, public transport, schools. Nice to haves could do without for now, for example, design, fittings, outdoor space. Focusing on your must-haves will help you prioritize the things that matter most. Stick to your price range. If you've been pre-approved for $500,000, don't waste time looking at properties advertised at $600,000. If your ideal suburb is outside your price range, keep an open mind about where to look. Do your research. Look online, talk to real estate agents, go to property inspections and explore what's on offer. Pace yourself, your search could take months. 5. Negotiate to buy your house. Finding a house you love is thrilling. It's easy to get carried away by your emotions. Stick to your budget and be as clear-headed as possible when bidding or negotiating to buy. Auction or private treaty. If you're a first home buyer, observe a few auctions so you understand how they work. Bring an experienced friend or family member along to help you bid. Or consider hiring ATO help with the buying process. If buying at auction, expect to pay a deposit immediately, for example, 10% of the purchase price. There's no cooling off period if you buy at auction. If buying privately, the contract of sale will include the deposit amount and when you need to pay it. There's a short cooling off period in most states and territories. You can usually get out of the contract and get most of your deposit back if you give written notice. Contract of sale. The seller-vendor of a property will prepare a contract of sale. As a potential buyer, first inspect the property and talk to the real estate agent or seller. Then, ask to see the contract of sale. Get help from a solicitor or to review the contract before signing. Paying a legal expert is the best way to avoid costly mistakes. Building and pest inspection. Once you've found a property you like, get a building and pest report done by a professional. Building inspection, structural issues, damp, electrical safety, cost of maintenance or repairs. Pest inspection, termite activity, other pest issues. This could save you a lot of money down the track. Make an offer. When you're ready, there are 2 ways of making an offer. Unconditional, a binding contract to buy outright if you have confirmed finance and are sure about the property. Conditional becomes a binding contract to buy if certain conditions are met, e.g. valuation, finance approval, inspections. Finalize your loan. Tell your lender you found a property you wish to buy and apply to finalize your loan. 6. Settle on your new home. You're on the home stretch now, with a few more costs to take care of before you can move in. Settlement. The settlement date is when the property title is transferred into your name and your mortgage begins. The contract of sale sets out the settlement period, when you have to pay the full purchase price. Your solicitor or conveyancer will finalize the settlement with the lender and seller. Then you'll get the keys to your new home. Stamp duty. Stamp duty is a one-off state government property transfer tax. You typically need to pay this within 30 days of settlement. Find out how much you have to pay by using one of these calculators. Australian Capital Territory Revenue Office, Conveyance Duty Calculator. New South Wales Revenue NSW, Calculator for Land and Property Transfers. Northern Territory Department of Treasury and Finance. Stamp Duty Calculators. Queensland Office of State Revenue, Transfer Duty Calculator. South Australia Revenue Calculator, Stamp Duty on Conveyances. Tasmania Tasmanian Government, Property Transfer Duty Calculator. Victoria State Revenue Office, Land Transfer Stamp Duty Calculator. Western Australia Office of State Revenue. Calculators. If you're a first home buyer, check if you're exempt from stamp duty or entitled to a rebate or concession. Home and contents insurance. Protect your home and contents against damage or loss. This may be a condition of your home loan. See home insurance. Stay on track with your repayments. Finally, update your budget with your mortgage repayments, plus ongoing costs like council rates and land tax when known. Extra expenses may take time to get used to, so keep an eye on your spending for a while. See Pay Off Your Mortgage Faster for tips on how to stay on track. Shop online. Anywhere Visa is accepted with SIP single-use card. Next level online security. Next level online security. Single-use Visa cards expire after just one purchase, giving you extra security when shopping online. Plus, they work anywhere Visa is accepted *. 3 reasons to shop with a single-use card. Built-in security. Single-use card details expire after one purchase, protecting you from unauthorized transactions *. Anywhere online. You can use single-use cards on any website that accepts Visa *. Quick and simple. Generate a single-use card from the SIP app in seconds *. How to shop with a single-use Visa card. Open the Pay tab in the SIP app. Choose it Generate Single-Use Card. Copy and paste card details into the online checkout. Do more with the app. Get instant access to shop now, pay later at thousands of brands online or in store. Frequently asked questions. SIP single-use Visa card lets you securely shop online, anywhere Visa is accepted *. Single-use cards expire after one purchase, meaning they can't be used again. Next time you want to make a purchase, simply generate another single-use card from the SIP app. You can use SIP single-use Visa cards on any website that accepts Visa *. References. Asterisk SIP single-use card T and C Sapli. Visa is a registered trademark of Visa International Service Association and used under license. Shop online, anywhere Visa is accepted with SIP single-use card. Next level online security. Next level online security. Single-use Visa cards expire after just one purchase, giving you extra security when shopping online. Plus, they work anywhere Visa is accepted asterisk. 3 reasons to shop with a single-use card. Built-in security. Single-use card details expire after one purchase, protecting you from unauthorized transactions asterisk. Anywhere online. You can use single-use cards on any website that accepts Visa asterisk. Quick and simple. Generate a single-use card from the SIP app in seconds asterisk. How to shop with a single-use Visa card. Open the Pay tab in the SIP app. Choose it Generate single-use card. Copy and paste card details into the online checkout. Do more with the app. Get instant access to shop now, pay later at thousands of brands online or in store. Frequently asked questions. SIP single-use Visa card lets you securely shop online, anywhere Visa is accepted asterisk. Single-use cards expire after one purchase, meaning they can't be used again. Next time you want to make a purchase, simply generate another single-use card from the SIP app. You can use SIP single-use Visa cards on any website that accepts Visa asterisk. References. Asterisk SIP single-use card T and C Sapli. Visa is a registered trademark of Visa International Service Association and used under license. How do SIP Pay, SIP Plus and SIP Money work? Discover how SIP works. Join millions of SIP customers globally. Choose a SIP account that suits you best. Up to $1,000. For your everyday sign up for SIP Pay. Interest-free always. $9.95 monthly account fee. Waived if you pay your statement, closing balance in full by the due date. No establishment fee. Repay from $10/week. You can change the frequency of your payments to weekly, fortnightly or monthly, as long as you pay minimum $40 per month. Choose what works best for you. Instant access to the SIP Pay Visa card for online and in-store shopping anywhere Visa is accepted asterisk. $2,000 to $4,000. For your everyday, plus more. Sign up for SIP Plus. Interest-free when your end-of-month balance is under $1, 5,001. Interest-free when your total owing at the end of the month is below $1,500 and a low 12.95% PA when it's above. $9.95 monthly account fee. No establishment fee. Repay from $20/week. You can change the frequency of your payments to weekly, fortnightly or monthly, as long as you meet the minimum repayment. Choose what works best for you. Instant access to the SIP Plus Visa card for online and in-store shopping anywhere Visa is accepted asterisk. Up to $5,000. For your not-so-everyday sign up for SIP Money. 3 to 60 months interest-free. Any balance outstanding at the expiry of the interest-free period will be charged at the standard variable interest rate of 25.9% per annum. Interest, fees and charges are subject to change. Interest-free term subject to minimum spend and promotional merchant offer. $9.95 monthly account fee. One-off account establishment fee may apply for new customers. Repay from $10/week. Generate single-use Visa cards for online purchases anywhere Visa is accepted asterisk asterisk. Getting started is easy. Choose your account. Sign up in minutes. Download the app. Repay at your own pace. How is SIP different? Sign up in minutes. Applying is fast and easy, so you can start shopping today. Spend anywhere with Visa. A digital Visa card for online and in-store shopping, even when you don't see SIP at checkout *. Flexible repayments. Our flexible repayments put you in control by letting you pay later at your own pace. Frequently asked questions. SIP Pay is an interest-free buy now pay later product offering a credit limit of up to $1,002. You can buy what you love and enjoy the flexibility of paying it off over time. Apply in under 4 minutes and start shopping instantly once approved. Instant access to a digital Visa card that works online and in-store, anywhere Visa is accepted *. Repay from $10/week, a $9.95 monthly account fee applies, waived if nothing owing. SIP Plus is a great value digital card with interest-free and waived fee options. You'll have more spending power than SIP Pay. With access to a credit limit of $2,000 minus $4,001. Instant access to a digital Visa card that works online and in-store, anywhere Visa is accepted *. Reduce your owing balance to $1,500 at the end of each month and you'll pay no interest at all. If your owing balance is over $1,500 at the end of the month, a low interest rate of 12.95% PA applies. Repay from $20/week. No international transaction fee when shopping abroad, including overseas online shopping. A $9.95 monthly account fee applies, waived if there is no balance owing at the end of each month. SIP Money is a line of credit with limits between $1,000 and $5,000 when customers apply directly with SIP, or $50,000 when customers apply through select SIP retailers. You'll enjoy a guaranteed, interest-free period of 3 months across all purchases and up to 5 years. With some SIPs retailers 3. Repay from $10/week. A one-off establishment fee for certain credit limits may apply. A $9.95 monthly account fee applies, waived if nothing owing at the end of each month. SIP Pay and SIP Plus are perfect for everyday purchases. Both come with instant access to a SIP Visa card for online and in-store shopping. Anywhere Visa is accepted *. Whether it's your weekly groceries, buying new shoes online or filling up the petrol tank, SIP works everywhere. For in-store purchases, you can add the SIP Visa card to your phone's digital wallet. When you're ready to pay at the checkout, just tap your phone anywhere Visa is accepted even when you don't see SIP at checkout *. For online purchases, your SIP Visa card details are available in the SIP app. Simply paste the card details at any online checkout that accepts Visa *. SIP Pay and SIP Plus can be used anywhere Visa is accepted. The SIP Visa card works online and in-store, even when you don't see SIP at checkout. Whether it's your weekly groceries, buying new shoes online or filling up the petrol tank, SIP works everywhere. Your SIP Visa card can be set up instantly after your account is approved, so you don't have to wait to start shopping *. Add the Visa card to your phone's digital wallet for easy in-store shopping or use the SIP app for Visa card details that can be used online. Plus, you can check out online and shop in-store at any of our SIP retail partners using your SIP app. Repayments are automatically direct debited from the payment method that you added when you created the account. You can change the payment method at any time and the frequency of your payments to weekly, fortnightly or monthly as long as you're covering the minimum monthly repayments. Choose what works best for you. With SIP Pay, a $9.95 monthly account fee applies. We will waive the fee if you pay your statement, closing balance in full, by the due date. With SIP Money, a $9.95 monthly account fee applies, which is waived if you have nothing owing. For SIP Pay, one late payment fee of $5. A customer will be charged an additional late fee where they have caught up on all repayments, and then miss another repayment at a later date. References: Apple Pay and the Apple App Store are trademarks of Apple Incorporated, registered in the US and other countries and regions. Google, Google Pay, Google Play and the Google Play logo are trademarks of Google LLC. Visa is a trademark owned by Visa International Service Association and used under license. The contact us symbol is a trademark owned by and used with permission of MCO LLC. 1 SIP plus, interest accrues daily on the total balance, owing at the end of each day. No interest will be charged to your account in a given month if the balance owing at the end of the last day of that calendar month is $1,500 or less. Each day ends at 11:59 p.m. East Age during daylight savings. Standard interest rate is 12.95% PATNCS, and credit approval criteria apply. A monthly account fee of $9.95 will apply if the total balance owing is not paid in full by the end of the last day of the calendar month. Interest and other charges may be payable, CTNCS. Interest, fees and charges subject to change. Credit provided by SIP Money Payments T Limited ABN 58 164 440 900 and 93 Australian Credit License Number 441878. Asterisk SIP Visa card is available with SIP Pay and SIP Plus. SIP Visa card TNC Supply. Asterisk SIP single use card and CS apply. 2 SIP Pay, minimum monthly repayments are required. A monthly account fee of $9.95 applies and is subject to change. Pay your closing balance in full by the due date each month and we'll waive the fee.
Alright, you can get the SIP card. There you go, the SIP card. Alright, now we have to go to SBS. Spanish. Maybe we have no time to do it.
SBS live streams and podcasts are supported by advertising. To learn more,
Estás con SBS Spanish.
Okay. I can't see. Estás con SBS Spanish. We have the Spanish now. And then, adiós amigos. Hasta luego. Esto es español. Hablo español.
SBS audio is supported by advertising.
SBS is Australia's most trusted multilingual broadcaster. Our listeners are loyal, highly engaged, and have supported countless en sbs.com.au/Spanish. SBS Audio. Fin de semana. Australia en español.
Llegó diciembre con su alegría, mes de paz.
Oh, Shusha.
Diciembre con su alegría, o por lo menos espero que sea un mes alegre para ti. Es también el último mes del año y ya se siente el peso del 2024 caer sobre nuestros hombros y la esperanza de un nuevo año tocar.
Un corazón del cariño, el amor, la razón de vivir. No hay nadie más que contigo. Hay que explotar y hacer uno nuevo de conocerte. Buena suerte, estamos caliente. Corazón de melón, corazón de melón. No llores mi alma, que te quiero pasar. Eres uno muy inteligente, te apreciamos todo corazón. Tú cultivas la tierra y haces trabajos, eres uno extraordinario. Así será, como se ve, se ve, se ve, se verá. Ay, 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 ay. que lo pase muy bonito. Esto es español de mí.
SBS Audio is supported by
Melbourne, siempre en domingo te habla Carmen Sá Jiménez, encantada de que me acompañes con tu sintonía. Te recuerdo que puedes escuchar este y todos nuestros programas en vivo y en directo en cadena nacional por radio análoga y digital con la frecuencia FM, también por la televisión digital o por internet a través de nuestra página www.sbs.com.au/Spanish, donde además publicamos nuestros programas cada día. De igual manera nos encuentras en Facebook como SBS Spanish Australia en español y también estamos en Instagram. Y siempre puedes escuchar cada uno de nuestros segmentos en tu aplicación favorita de podcast. Hoy nuestra invitada es la vocalista de la banda Sun Seeds, una agrupación radicada en Melbourne y que viene desde hace un tiempo componiendo canciones para completar su primer álbum musical que planean lanzar en el 2025. Conversamos con su vocalista Vanessa Estrada acerca del más reciente sencillo de Sun Seeds titulado Agua de Lluvia. En unos segundos escucharemos la conversación. En Cibertendencias, Bianca Vaquero nos dice que ya comienzan a conocerse las sanciones a estudiantes que utilizan la inteligencia artificial para elaborar sus ensayos y trabajos académicos. Y nos cuenta la historia de un par de estudiantes en Massachusetts, Estados Unidos. Bianca también nos habla de un estudio que comprobó que muchas personas comparten enlaces de publicaciones que no han leído, solo porque les impresionó el titular, lo que da pie a que se distribuya información inadecuada. Y como consejito, Bianca nos dice para qué sirve esa banderita que aparece en los chats de WhatsApp a los que les fijamos tiempo. Y al cierre en Mundo Bizarro, Claudio nos habla de cosas tan absurdas como la banana pegada a una pared con cinta adhesiva que fue vendida en $6,2 millones estadounidenses en una subasta de arte. ¿Qué tal que hubiera sido una calabaza? Claudio también nos comenta sobre la plataforma para alojamientos turísticos que está ofreciendo a sus clientes participar en una lucha de gladiadores en el Coliseo de Roma. Pero la mejor es esta. Es el tema con el que iniciamos esta...
Oh, se cortó, se va para atrás. La música va tun 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 chiqui pum pin tun tin tun tin tun tin tan. Ya mi corazón que se va me ama a mí al amor, un cariño que tengo respeto. Voy adelante, voy para allá, chin chun chin chun chic 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 chin chun chin chun chic 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 tun tin tun tin tun na vamos para ganar, hacer una alegría. Nos vamos para adelante, para atrás, para otros lados. Oh, ¿qué te pasa? ¿Qué te pasa? Y no me diga, ¿qué te pasa? Tú eres bueno. Podemos cantar, bailar, cocinar, hacer lo que podemos. Vivir es una alegría, cariño. Gracias. Vamos. ¿Qué te pasa? ¿Qué te pasa? Vamos, adelante. Eso, alegría, vamos.
SBS.
Conversamos con su voz. Muchas personas comparten enlaces de publicaciones que no han leído, solo porque les impresionó el titular, lo que da pie a que se distribuya información inadecuada. Y como consejito, Bianca nos dice para qué sirve esa banderita que aparece en los chats de WhatsApp a los que les fijamos tiempo. Y al cierre en Mundo Bizarro, Claudio nos habla de cosas tan absurdas como la banana pegada a una pared con cinta adhesiva que fue vendida en $6,2 millones estadounidenses.
A desarrollar con ideas nuevas, llevándola al sonido característico que queríamos para esta banda, que eran sonidos como electrónicos y beats con sonidos folclóricos también. Entonces ahí se fue transformando de a poquito esta canción.
Bueno, pues es el tema con el que iniciamos esta entrevista.
claro. Oh, se fue para atrás, mierda. Ahora claro, clarito. Claro, sombrero, hay que paso para atrás, para adelante. Comprar una vida es comprar un cariño, un honor y bailarlo como una celebración extraña. No llores, guapo. ¿Qué pasa? No llores.
Háblanos un poco más de este nuevo tema.
Bueno, Agua de Lluvia es una canción que va a ser parte del álbum debut de Sunset, un álbum titulado Sur. Es una canción que yo escribí hace muchos años, desde el 2017 más o menos. Bueno, la he tocado como parte de mi repertorio solista y con otros proyectos, y finalmente cuando se armó este proyecto con Sunset encontré que era un muy buen estilo para esta banda.
No, ¿qué pasó? El nuevo tiene el cuerpo grande. Ellos saben que el cuerpo grande, chiquito. ¿Qué te pasa? Eres bonito. No me digas, ¿qué te pasa? No me digas, báilalo, cámbialo, ponelo justo. Esto es un conjunto. Los jóvenes vienen aquí adelante, dale chiquipapau, chiquichicacacaca. Tan taran 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 tan 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 taran taran tara guau guau guau. No sé lo que pasa, lloramos, cantamos, alegría, vamos, vamos. No sé lo que pasa, lloramos, cantamos, alegría, vamos, vamos, vamos. Oh, qué cosa, chocolate, no llores porque nadie te mate. Esto es bueno, lo que pasa es que en realidad estamos en un sistema, no sé qué pasa, como esto, chocolate, la vida caliente, vivir, tener un honor. Justicia, alegría, vamos, ¿qué color te damos? Vamos.
En una lucha de gladiadores en el Coliseo de Roma. Pero la mejor es esta. Un niño llama a la línea de emergencias 911 para que le ayuden con su tarea de matemáticas. Y banal en el 2025. Conversamos con su vocalista Vanessa Estrada acerca del más reciente sencillo de Sunset titulado Agua de Lluvia. En unos segundos escucharemos la conversación. En Cibertendencias, Bianca Vaquero nos sirve esa banderita que aparece en los chats de WhatsApp. La mejor es esta. Sobre un nuevo sencillo, esta vez titulado Agua de Lluvia. Háblanos un poco más de este nuevo tema.
Bueno, Agua de Lluvia es una canción que va a ser parte del álbum debut de Sunset, un álbum titulado Sur. Es una canción que yo escribí hace muchos años, desde el 2017 más o menos. Bueno, la he tocado como parte de mi repertorio solista y con otros proyectos, y finalmente cuando se armó este proyecto con Sunset encontré que era un muy buen
y la renovación. ¿Qué significan estos procesos para Sunset como banda?
Bueno, yo creo que como todo proyecto todo va evolucionando, canción también. Bueno,
junto con sintetizadores electrónicos, ¿cómo equilibran en Sunset estos elementos tradicionales y modernos?
Bueno, de partida la mayoría en la banda somos de la electrónica.
De Sur,
que es un festival muy grande e importante para todas las comunidades extranjeras en Australia. Entonces, sí, y ya después de febrero ya empezar a preparar el lanzamiento del álbum. Ver si sacamos otro single quizás antes, no sé, no estamos seguros todavía.
Bueno, pues ya sabes que aquí están los micrófonos abiertos para escuchar siempre estos nuevos sencillos. Bueno, y finalmente, Vanessa, la pregunta obligada. ¿Cómo pueden seguirlos las personas interesadas en la música de Sun Seeds? ¿Cómo pueden escucharlos, conocerlos y saber más de sus presentaciones?
Bueno, tenemos una cuenta de Instagram que nos pueden encontrar como Sun Seeds, todo junto, una misma palabra, Sun Seeds, con doble E, como semilla de sol, ¿no?
Sí.
Sun Seeds, todo junto, guión bajo, oficial con doble F. Así estamos en Instagram. También tenemos Spotify y YouTube, también todos juntos, Sun Seeds, una sola palabra. Y ahí en YouTube tenemos videos, en nuestro Spotify tenemos todos nuestros singles que hemos sacado. A ver si sacamos otro single quizás antes, no sé, no estamos seguros todavía.
Bueno, pues ya sabes que aquí están los micrófonos abiertos para escuchar siempre estos nuevos sencillos. Bueno, y finalmente, Vanessa, la pregunta obligada. ¿Cómo pueden seguirlos las personas interesadas en la música de Sun Seeds? ¿Cómo pueden escucharlos, conocerlos y saber más de sus presentaciones?
Bueno, tenemos una cuenta de Instagram que nos pueden encontrar como Sun Seeds, todo junto, una misma palabra, Sun Seeds, con doble E, como semilla de sol, ¿no?
Sí.
Sun Seeds, todo junto, guión bajo, oficial con doble F. Así estamos en Instagram. También tenemos Spotify y YouTube, también todos juntos, Sun Seeds, una sola palabra. Y ahí en YouTube tenemos videos, en nuestro Spotify tenemos todos nuestros singles que hemos sacado. Y bueno, Facebook también, que es Sun Seeds Official, como el Instagram. Todavía no tenemos página web, estamos trabajando en eso.
Muy bien, pues Vanessa Estrada de la agrupación Sun Seeds, basada en Melbourne. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos de nuevo esta tarde en Australia en español y por compartir un sencillo más de su producción musical, y suerte con el lanzamiento de Sur el próximo año.
Muchas gracias a ti de nuevo por ofrecernos el espacio y siempre apoyarnos con nuestra música y nuestros lanzamientos.
Y a ustedes los dejamos ahora sí con Agua de Lluvia. A hacer tareas y ensayos académicos utilizando la inteligencia artificial, que la cosa no es tan fácil y te pueden pillar con consecuencias desagradables. Y todo esto nos lo cuenta Bianca Vaquero, quien ya se encuentra con nosotros. Bianca, muy buenas tardes. Y cuéntanos qué fue lo que pasó en Massachusetts, Estados Unidos.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Bueno, sí, en concreto en diciembre de 2020 desde IA. Ni se molestaron en comprobar que todo eso estaba bien. O sea, literalmente hicieron un control-C, control-V de toda la vida. Y bueno, como señala la sentencia, fue uno de los grandes argumentos que revelaron que efectivamente estos estudiantes habían estado usando IA de forma inadecuada, lo del tema de las alucinaciones de IA. Los profesores pues destacaron que aclararon los principios de integridad académica varias veces al chico este que los padres pusieron la demanda, y en ellos estaba incluida la forma adecuada de usar la IA, que yo es lo que os digo mucho. La IA no es mala, o sea, mucha gente, es que la IA no es mala cuando se usa de cierta manera. O sea, lo que no puedes hacer es, si tú estás estudiando, pues que te haga todo, ¿vale? O sea, como un apoyo, como una ayuda, es una forma maravillosa, yo la uso para muchas cosas, pero no hago que haga mi trabajo, es que es absurdo. Susan Petri, que es una profesora de historia de ese instituto, pues analizó ese trabajo y estimó que este chico, del que se habla porque el otro no puso demanda ni nada, el otro pues simplemente se comió el castigo y ya está, que solo había invertido 50 minutos en el documento, es que ni una hora, cuando otras personas, otros estudiantes habían dedicado horas e incluso días a hacer este tipo de trabajos. Es que esto pues lógicamente no puede ser. Aparte que esta profesora utilizó varios sistemas de detección de textos de inteligencia artificial que pues por desgracia tienen que usar muchos docentes, como el Turnitin, el DraftPack o el Chat Zero, y en todas demostraron que, bueno, pues que había usado IA. El dictamen del juez pues deja claro que una cosa es utilizar esta tecnología, como es la inteligencia artificial, como un apoyo, como una ayuda, ¿no? Como os he comentado antes, y otra, pues, hacerla que te haga los deberes, ¿no? Y encima, sin siquiera, tener la cara de no revisar nada, incluyendo errores, incluso hasta estas alucinaciones de estos sistemas que son muy habituales cuando hacen textos largos, ¿no? Que cuando les falta información o algo se la inventan, porque esto es así, está demostrado. Y desde la aparición de ChatGPT allá por noviembre de 2022, que yo esto siempre lo digo, parece que hace 1000 años que convivimos con estos sistemas, y es que hace 2 años. Hace 2 años nada más, bueno. Pronto, pues todo esto, cuando salió esto, desató un importante debate y todavía se tiene entre educadores. Vente si este tipo de chatbots amenazan con el fin de los deberes, o incluso si hay que cambiar los sistemas de educación. Bueno, pues todas estas preguntas, ¿no? Quizás sería también más importante aprender un poquito a pensar y, bueno, pues también hacerse esas preguntas, ¿no? Si la educación tradicional sigue teniendo sentido o va a tener sentido en un futuro con toda la tecnología que vamos teniendo a nuestro alcance.
Bueno, pues yo creo que esto es solo la punta del iceberg, Bianca, porque estoy segura de que el uso de la IA en la redacción de documentos es algo que está cogiendo mucha fuerza y va a ser difícil reglamentar y sobre todo controlar su uso en las tareas escolares y trabajos académicos. Cambiamos de tema y pasamos a algo no menos grave, que es el tema de la desinformación, porque también se ha vuelto costumbre que las personas compartan un artículo solo con haber leído el titular y sin comprobar su contenido. Y aquí entra en juego el término clickbait, del que nos vas a hablar ahora, Bianca.
Bueno, pues en pleno debate sobre este auge de la desinformación, hay un nuevo estudio de la Universidad Estatal de Pensilvania que ha sido publicado por Nature Human Behavior, que, como bien has dicho, revela que un montón de ese contenido que compartimos, bueno, yo no personalmente, pero bueno, que comparten muchos usuarios, ni siquiera lo han leído esa persona que está difundiendo, ¿no? En concreto, como has dicho, un 75%. Es un comportamiento que facilita la propagación de las llamadas fake news, de estas noticias falsas virales, de cualquier tipo de espectro, ya no solo político, sino pues de cualquier ideología, ¿no? Hablemos de ideología o de cualquier otra cosa. Fish, que es una página web dedicada a todo el tema este de las nuevas tecnologías y de ciencias y tal, profundiza muchísimo en abierto dentro de esta investigación. Hablando en cifras, este estudio analizó 35 millones de publicaciones, en concreto en Facebook. Lo hizo entre 2017 y 2020. El 75%, que es muchísimo, fueron compartidas sin pulsar en el enlace. Es decir, que la gente vio el titular, lo típico, el clickbait, ¿no?, que tanto se lleva ahora, vio el titular y dijo: madre mía, este político se come 5 gatitos al día. Dios mío, lo tengo que compartir. Y ni siquiera se lee la noticia, ¿no? A lo mejor dentro de la noticia pone que eso es lo que dijo el que estaba enfrente, ¿no? El candidato opuesto que dijo eso, pero el titular dice eso. Entonces, pues vamos a compartir, sin ni siquiera parar a pensar si eso es real, ¿no? Identificaron 41 millones de compartidos de fake news. Literalmente eran cosas falsas. Esta desinformación no solo tiene que ver con política, es que también tiene que ver con un montón de cosas. Por desgracia, lo que hemos sufrido en mi país hace prácticamente nada fue la catástrofe esta de la Dana en Valencia. Pues en sucesos de este tipo la cobertura es increíble. No os podéis imaginar la cantidad de bulos que se han esparcido en cuestión de semanas. O sea, increíble. Todo esto contamina el contenido real con ese contenido sintético, pues haciéndose pasar por auténtico, y la mayoría de las veces se hace de forma deliberada. Esta investigación muestra que los usuarios tienden a compartir contenidos basándose solo en el titular, lo que os he dicho. Por eso es increíble y tan a saco como van con el tema de los clickbaits, que es de vergüenza, de verdad. O la típica descripción breve, o sea, ¿para qué te vas a leer un artículo entero, no? Si te puedes leer 4 palabras y ya, bueno, ya eres erudito en el tema, ¿no? Nadie profundiza en la información y, bueno, ya ni te digo comparar o contrastar información. Es un comportamiento especialmente pronunciado cuando el contenido, lógicamente, es de la misma ideología que la tuya. O sea, si tú ves al político de turno que te cae fatal diciendo que se come 4 gatitos al día, pues tú lo vas a compartir con todo el mundo porque es que ser más horroroso, pero no lo vas a contrastar. Según S. Shaiman Sundar, que es el autor principal de este estudio, explica que la mayoría de los usuarios, nos incluimos, yo creo que todos en general, pues asumimos que el contenido ha sido verificado por otros usuarios de nuestra red. Es decir, si lo comparte gente que tú sigues y que te fías y tal, te fías, ¿no? Lógicamente, tú crees que eso ha sido verificado por otra persona y simplemente sigues esparciendo esa noticia sin siquiera leerlo, ¿no? Pero la realidad es que nadie verifica eso, nadie. Ni tu vecina la que la ha compartido, ni tu abuela, ni nadie. La mayoría de la gente no lo hace. Entonces, esta cadena que se genera de confianza ciega facilita la propagación de esta desinformación viral. Por eso es muy importante contrastar y leer las cosas. Yo siempre lo digo dentro de mi círculo, sobre todo de círculo familiar: no os creáis todo lo que os mandan. Investigar, que no cuesta tanto, que tenemos toda la información en la palma de la mano. Es que es muy fácil saber cuando algo es verdad o es mentira. Y bueno, este fenómeno es algo que trasciende las fronteras ideológicas y los investigadores proponen que las plataformas implementen pues algún tipo de fricción en el proceso de compartir cualquier cosa, una noticia, se entiende, ¿no? Por ejemplo, que requiera una confirmación de lectura. Aunque yo también te digo, esto también lo hizo hace años Twitter, y tampoco es que detenga mucho la inercia de compartir contenido como locos, ¿no? Y no frena, las campañas deliberadas de desinformación no las frena, pero bueno, eso es otra historia también. Pero claro, ¿por qué lo hacemos? ¿Por qué compartimos sin leer? A ver, yo no lo hago, lógicamente, porque estoy curada de espanto, ¿no? Como se dice aquí, pero no lo tendríais que hacer ninguno. Bueno, pues según Sundar, lo hacemos por el bombardeo constante de información. Es que por todos lados, tenemos redes sociales por todos lados, ¿no? Entonces, nos empuja a actuar impulsivamente todo, ¿no? Sin profundizar en absolutamente nada, ni reflexionar, ni hacer crítica, ni nada, sobre todo con contenidos delicados o intensos. No estamos tan saturados y entregados a la inmediatez, que es todo, venga ya, rápido, pum, 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 que todo esto es terreno, vamos, fértil para la propagación de la desinformación, por desgracia. Yo os lo digo, que sed críticos, informaros bien y contrastar la información, siempre, venga de donde venga.
Bueno, pues ya sabes, el titular es solo eso, un titular, y lo mejor es que leas el artículo antes de compartirlo. Y terminamos con un consejito, Bianca, acerca de esos grupos de conversación temporales que creamos en WhatsApp.
Bueno, por si alguien no sabe qué es ese iconito de la bandera, que a lo mejor muchos lo habéis visto y habéis dicho, ¿pero esto qué es? A mí me aparecen cosas aquí, no lo entiendo. Bueno, os lo voy a explicar. Seguramente os aparezca en algunos mensajes, pero eso sí, no en todos. Además, en unos muy concretos aparecen. Esto básicamente es un icono que señala los mensajes que quieres conservar cuando estás dentro de un chat temporal o un chat efímero, ¿no? Es una función muy útil, pues cuando tú quieres conservar algo importante, pero bueno, pues sigues queriendo mantener una privacidad, una seguridad en ese chat, por lo que sea, pues porque es una conversación con una persona extraña, porque estás haciendo un negocio, por cualquier cosa, pero pues quieres conservar ese mensaje. Tú vas a poder usar esta función de conservar mensaje para que pues no se borre. El resto sí, el resto va a desaparecer y tal, pero ese pues se va a conservar. Para tener ese iconito de la bandera, no sé si sois asiduos a TikTok, pero es el mismo iconito este que es cuando tú guardas un TikTok, por ejemplo. Bueno, está en prácticamente todas las redes sociales, el iconito este de la bandera. Cuando está activo es que ese mensaje ha sido guardado, y esto es importante, todas las personas del chat, y ya está. En iPhone, por otro lado, va a aparecer el típico este menú.
Ok. Te voy a parar. Oh, le corté para atrás, chucha la weá. Le fucked it, you fucked it. Pues a mi nectar. You fucking dickhead. No, dickhead, no. You have, wait up here, aquí. Australia, leyes. Australia prohibida 16 años. ¿Es este? ¿Cómo? What? ¿Qué pasó?
Australia lies 16 and no internet Google search. Featured snippet from the web. Australia prohibirá a los menores de 16 años usar las redes sociales, tras la aprobación en el Parlamento de la...
Yo entiendo. Es este, amigo, mira. Estoy ciego. No sé por qué estoy diciendo eso. No puedo verlo. Mira, en este. Después este.
La ley.
Después para abajo, para este.
Australia leyes 16 año Internet Google Search. Featured snippet from the web. Australia prohibirá a los menores de 16 años usar las redes sociales tras la aprobación en el Parlamento de la ley. La ley en latín, lex, legis, es una norma jurídica dictada por el legislador, es decir, un precepto establecido por la autoridad competente en que se manda. Determina o prohíbe algo en consonancia con la justicia, cuyo incumplimiento conlleva una sanción, usualmente una pena. https://es.wikipedia.org Wiki, ley de Internet más estricta del mundo. La prohibición, que no entrará en efecto antes de por lo menos 12 meses, contempla multas de hasta $32,5 millones a las empresas si no la cumplen. 2 Daisago. https://www.bbc.com Artículos. 2 Daisago. La nueva ley obliga a las plataformas de redes sociales a tomar medidas razonables para impedir que los menores de 16 años tengan una cuenta. 3 Daisago. El Senado de Australia ha aprobado este jueves una ley pionera que prohibirá el acceso de los menores de 16 años a las redes sociales y 2 Daisago. Los menores de 16 años en Australia dejarán de tener acceso a Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat y otras plataformas similares. 2 Daisago. Australia aprueba una ley que prohíbe el uso de redes sociales a menores de 16 años y que afectará a TikTok, Facebook, Instagram o X. 3 Daisago. El jueves, Australia prohibió las redes sociales para los menores de 16 años. Un día antes, la Cámara Baja del Parlamento aprobó un proyecto. 1 Daisago. Australia aprobó una ley que prohíbe el acceso a redes sociales para menores de 16 años, con excepciones para servicios educativos. 3 Daisago. Los menores de 16 años no podrán acceder a las redes sociales en Australia. Así lo que dice una nueva ley aprobada este jueves en el Parlamento. 2 Daisago. La ley establece que se podrán imponer multas de hasta $50 millones australianos, $33 millones a plataformas como TikTok.
¿Qué esto? ¿Cómo esto? En mira. Todo está viendo.
Redes sociales. Australia prohíbe el uso de esas plataformas a menores de 16 años con la ley más estricta del mundo. BBC News Mundo. Australia prohíbe el uso de las redes sociales a menores de 16 años con la legislación de Internet más estricta del mundo. Autor Anna Ritchie. Título del autor BBC News, Sydney. 29 de noviembre de 2024. Australia prohibirá a los menores de 16 años usar las redes sociales tras la aprobación en el Parlamento de la ley de Internet más estricta del mundo. La prohibición, que no entrará en efecto antes de por lo menos 12 meses, contempla multas de hasta $32,5 millones a las empresas si no la cumplen. El primer ministro, Anthony Albanese, dijo que la legislación es necesaria para proteger a las personas jóvenes de los daños de las redes sociales. Algo que muchos grupos de padres también han expresado. Sin embargo, los críticos señalan que hay interrogantes que no se han contestado sobre cómo se va a aplicar el veto y qué impacto tendrá en la privacidad y la conexión social. Este no es el primer intento global de restringir el uso de las redes sociales a menores. Pero la edad mínima de 16 es el umbral más estrecho establecido por cualquier país. Contrario a los otros intentos, la ley no ofrece exenciones para usuarios existentes o aquellos con permiso parental. Al ser aprobada en el Senado por 34 votos contra 19, tarde el jueves, el proyecto de ley regresó a la Cámara de Representantes, donde se aprobó en horas tempranas del viernes. Queremos que nuestros chicos tengan una niñez y que los padres sepan que los respaldamos, manifestó Albanese a los periodistas después. Una prohibición fácil de burlar. La legislación no especifica qué plataformas estarán prohibidas. Esas decisiones serán tomadas más tarde por la ministra de Comunicaciones de Australia, que buscará asesoría del Comisionado para la Seguridad Electrónica Safety, un regulador de Internet que hará cumplir las reglas. Sin embargo, la ministra Michelle Rowland señaló que la prohibición incluirá Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram y X. Las plataformas, sin embargo, que buscará asesoría del Comisionado para la Seguridad Electrónica Safety, un regulador de Internet que hará cumplir las reglas. Sin embargo, la ministra Michelle Rowland señaló que la prohibición incluirá Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram y X. Las plataformas de juegos y mensajería quedarán exentas, así como los sitios a los que se puede tener acceso sin abrir una cuenta. Por lo que es probable que YouTube, por ejemplo, no caiga dentro de la prohibición. El gobierno indica que contará con algunas de las tecnologías de verificación de edad para implementar las restricciones. Y estará ensayando opciones en los próximos meses. La responsabilidad recaerá sobre las plataformas de redes sociales para añadir esos procesos ellas mismas. No obstante, investigadores digitales han advertido que no hay garantías de que la tecnología menos que aún no está especificada y podría depender de la biometría o información de identidad funcione. Los críticos también han solicitado garantías de que la privacidad será protegida. Han resaltado además que las restricciones podrían ser fácilmente burladas a través de herramientas como un VPN, que puede ocultar la ubicación de un usuario y hacerlo parecer como si estuviera pidiendo acceso desde otro país. Los menores que encuentren maneras de burlar la ley no enfrentarán castigos. Las encuestas sobre las reformas, aunque limitadas, sugieren que tienen el apoyo de la mayoría de los padres y cuidadores. Durante mucho tiempo los padres han enfrentado esta opción imposible entre ceder y darle a su niño un dispositivo adictivo o ver a su niño quedar aislado y sentirse marginado, manifestó a la BBC Amy Friedlander, una de las personas que cabildeó a favor de la prohibición. Nos han atrapado en una normalidad de la que nadie quiere ser parte. Argumentos en contra. Pero muchos expertos apuntan a que la prohibición es un instrumento demasiado burdo para abordar efectivamente los riesgos asociados con el uso de las redes sociales, y han advertido que podría forzar a los menores hacia los rincones menos regulados de Internet. Durante un breve periodo de consultas antes de que el proyecto de ley fuera aprobado, Google y Snap criticaron la legislación por no dar más detalles. Y Meta declaró que la ley sería inefectiva y no cumpliría con el fin declarado de proteger mejor a los niños. En su presentación, TikTok señaló que la definición del gobierno de lo que es una plataforma de redes sociales era tan amplia y turbia que casi todo servicio online podría caer dentro de ella. X cuestionó la legalidad del proyecto, diciendo que podría no ser compatible con las regulaciones internacionales y los tratados de derechos humanos que Australia ha suscrito. Algunos activistas juveniles también acusaron al gobierno de no entender completamente el papel que las redes sociales juegan en sus vidas, y excluyéndolos del debate. Entendemos que somos vulnerables a los riesgos e impactos negativos de las redes sociales, pero debemos estar involucrados en el desarrollo de las soluciones, escribió el Consejo Juvenil de Safety, que asesora al ente regulador. El primer ministro albanese reconoció que el debate es complejo, pero defendió categóricamente el proyecto de ley. No estamos planteando que su implementación será perfecta, tal como la prohibición de alcohol para menores de 18 no significa que alguien menor de los 18 nunca tendrá acceso, pero sabemos que hacemos lo correcto, expresó el viernes. Un ejemplo a seguir. Al año pasado, Francia introdujo una legislación para bloquear el acceso a las redes sociales de niños menores de 15 años que no tuvieran el permiso de sus padres, aunque los estudios indicaron que casi la mitad de los usuarios pudieron evadir el veto usando un VPN. Una ley en el estado de Utah, E.U., que era similar a la de Australia, fue anulada por un juez federal que la encontró inconstitucional. Las leyes en Australia están siendo observadas con gran interés por líderes en todo el mundo. Noruega recientemente declaró que estaría siguiendo los pasos de ese país, y el mes pasado el secretario de Tecnología de Reino Unido informó que había una prohibición similar sobre la mesa, aunque luego añadió que no. Por el momento. Con información adicional de Tiffany Turnbull en Sydney. Haz clic aquí para leer más historias de BBC News Mundo. Suscríbete aquí a nuestro nuevo newsletter para recibir cada viernes una selección de nuestro redes sociales. Australia prohíbe el uso de esas plataformas a menores de 16 años con la ley más estricta del mundo. BBC News Mundo. Australia prohíbe el uso de las redes sociales a menores de 16 años con la legislación de Internet más estricta del mundo. Autor Anna Ritchie. Título del autor BBC News, Sydney. 29 de noviembre de 2024. Australia prohibirá a los menores de 16 años usar las redes sociales tras la aprobación en el Parlamento de la ley de Internet más estricta del mundo. La prohibición, que no entrará en efecto antes de por lo menos 12 meses, contempla multas de hasta $32,5 millones a las empresas si no la cumplen. El primer ministro, Anthony Albanese, dijo que la legislación es necesaria para proteger a las personas jóvenes de los daños de las redes sociales. Algo que muchos grupos de padres también han expresado. Sin embargo, los críticos señalan que hay interrogantes que no se han contestado sobre...
Okay, tengo que irme. I must go now. 3 hours, 10 hours. I love you. Into mi sector. Oh, pasamos lo que pasa, turanamo. Choco, 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 baila. Choco, 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 choco. Viva la vida caliente. Viva la vida caliente. Oh, I love you so, I love you so, I love you so. Ride the horse, buy a car. What are you talking? Where are you going? Where are you going? What's going on? No, oh, I love you, Lola. Into mi sector. God, God, into mi sector. God, God.